Sister, after today, you can do whatever you want to do with that little bitch. Don't be reckless. Sister, please don't, sister. Lin Xiangyin listened to every word. As soon as her red eyes were raised, her brothers were speechless. On the wedding day, the bridegroom spoils the woman in the guest room. I'm afraid no one can tolerate it. So Lin Xiangyin threw the cover in the eyes of all the people, walked towards the guest room, and then ordered someone to knock open the door of the guest room. Many good people, regardless of face, follow behind, want to see the excitement. If you were someone else, you would have scattered the guests first. But Lin Xiangyin was angry and didn't notice this. She just looked at the scene in the guest room with anger and grief. At that time, Yin Moli had already fallen asleep on the collapse. His breath was steady, and he obviously had a good sleep. It was Lu Qianqian, who was only wearing a thin tunic. At the sight of so many people, Rao was prepared, and his face turned pale. It's you. Lin Xiangyin looks at Lu Qianqian in shock. Lu Qianqian pulled the clothes to cover her body, and her eyes turned red in a moment. She didn't say anything, but cried silently, looking aggrieved. Bitch. Lin Xiangyin saw that she was using her usual tricks again. She was so angry that she rushed forward and slapped Lu Qianqian in the face. Cunt, you are so shameless that you did such a thing on my wedding day. I'll kill you. The people in the palace have been silly for a long time, and no one dares to stop them. Seeing this, Lin Xiangyin's brothers had to go forward and pull Lin Xiangyin back. One of the oldest brothers found Lu Bohan in the crowd. He held back his anger and said, Lu Xiangxing's good daughter, please take your love away immediately. If not, I don't know what Princess Ling will do in her anger. Ling Princess, 3 words he deliberately bite heavy word sound. Lu Bohan was ashamed of himself, and the comments of his colleagues and many women's families made his old face almost trample on the ground. Hold for a long time, he just pulled his side of the entourage to come over, squeeze out a few words from his teeth. Take Miss back. The attendants looked at each other, but they didn't care about the difference between men and women. They rushed forward to take Lu Qianqian away. Lu Qianqian pulled his broadcoat and put it on. He didn't say anything. He just sobbed and went with him. Mo Shanghua has a complicated look at Lin Xiangyin, who is still in the house, wearing a bright red wedding dress but crying in great pain. She turns back quietly without saying a word. Qinya followed Mo Shanghua and comforted her. This Miss Lin is not a good stubble. She is also a bridge wrecker. You don't have to worry about it. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and pressed her temple. She closed her eyes and said nothing. 2 days before Yin Mo's wedding, Mo Shanghua went to find Lu Qianqian. She has never been a soft-hearted person. Lin Xiangyin has no friendship with her, and she is not familiar with her. She was unhappy about the past few days, so she would not let go of her long-term plan because of her slight unhappiness. Since Lu Qianqian was banned, Lu Bohan quickly arranged a marriage for her. She was only the second son of a servant of the 3rd-grade household department, and she was married lowly. If Lu Qianqian had not been schemed by the stranger and ruined his reputation, he would not have fallen on the second son of the house servant. Unfortunately, Lu Qian was not content. Seeing that Yin Moli's marriage is approaching, she is still unwilling to continue to be Yin Moli's chess piece, because in this way, she will never have the chance to be the person beside him. But again is unwilling, she also has no way. She was not surprised by the arrival of Mo Shanghua. On the one hand, she was secretly vigilant. On the other hand, she tore off her disguise and said in a cold voice, I thought you would come to see my joke early, but I didn't expect to come so late. The stranger took no time to find a place to sit down in her boudoir, or the former owner's boudoir, and passed the familiar desk lightly. This is the only thing in the boudoir that hasn't been renewed. For a long time, she raised her eyes, and a hint of sarcasm spilled from the corner of her lips. Miss Xiangfu, are you still happy? It's ironic to think that a father who seems to love himself, but will betray himself at any time when he arrives. A father who promises the future, but can abandon his master without hesitation. This kind of life is quite different from Lu Qianqian's imagination. At the beginning, his mind was stimulated by the flashiness in front of him, and now it is completely cool. Good or bad, you can't live with it any longer. Rao is so Lu Qianqian or bite teeth, half refused to admit. The ruddy lip petals of the flowers on the street are gently raised, and the ironic Lu Qianqian's face is almost distorted. I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to show you a way. What do you mean? Mo Shanghua took out a porcelain vase and put it on the table. She opened it with her red lips. This thing can achieve your wish, but if you use it, what you have worked hard for many years will vanish overnight. It's up to you to choose. Finish saying, then directly get up to leave, not in left and right. Lu Qianqian's idea. The unremarkable porcelain vase is quietly placed on the table. A small note is pasted on the bottle, which reads "Lost Feeling." Lu Qianqian's eyes fell tightly on the small characters of the bottle, and her eyes became obsessed, almost crazy. On his wedding day, he got mixed up with other women and was seen by so many people. Naturally, it spread to Emperor Baorong very quickly. Yen Moli, who used to have a sacred heart, was reprimanded by Emperor Baorong after the incident, and some of the things in his hands were directly taken away and handed over to others. Although not in the hands of Yen Beicheng, but for him is also a great blow. As for Lu Qianqian, after all, she was the prime minister's daughter, and she was very clever to attribute it to Yen Moli's impoliteness after drinking. She really couldn't resist. In this way, Lu Bohan had no choice but to go to Baorong Emperor for mercy. Naturally, Emperor Baorong granted Lu Qianqian to Yen Moli as a side imperial concubine. However, Lu Qianqian's position in his mind also plummeted, from a gentle and polite talented woman, a good daughter, to a disgrace. Moreover, Yen Moli was even more angry and depressed in his heart, but he still had no choice but to listen to Emperor Baorong and take Lu Qianqian in. Na side imperial concubine also wants to set up a few tables banquet. Therefore on this day, she invited some powerful friends. The Moshenghua couple in Yanbei City, who disgusted Yen Moli the most, were invited to leave as their younger brother's wife. I thought Yen Moli would at least go through the stage and entertain the guests, but I didn't think that he didn't pass by from beginning to end. So is Yanbei City. Mo Shanghua looks up at Lin Xiangyin, who has just been married, and at Lu Qianqian, who is standing on one side and slightly embarrassed. At that time, Lin Xiangyin's face had no smile on the eve of her wedding, and she sat in the first place with a stiff face. The ladies around her complimented and congratulated her with different meanings, and she just had a response. In addition, she is more like a general intention, wearing a red dress. Steady will be next to the face of a jiao powder dress. Lu Qianqian pressure. When Lu Qianqian used to be the legitimate daughter of the prime minister's family, although she was gentle, she was always proud of her status, but now she was very obedient. A woman who used to hate Lu Qian couldn't help laughing. Why is Sister Lu standing all the time today? That's how I'm going to keep sitting. All of you are either the wife or the daughter of the family. Except for the servants, they are all sitting at the table with delicate snacks and tea. Lu Qianqian's lips moved. Before she could speak, Lin Xiangyin sneered and satirized. She's just a concubine now. How can she be qualified to sit with us? With that, she turned her head and put on the dignity of the imperial concubine. Lu Shi, where did you go in the past? Why are you so blind? You've been sitting for so long, and you don't know how to come forward to see me. Lu Qian's eyes flashed a touch of shame, but he still bit his teeth and tried to calm down. He said in a soft voice, "Yes." Then he went forward to worship Yingying, the king of Ling's concubine Lu's side. "Give you a salute." Everyone looked different, but no one answered. If the squatting posture lasts for a long time, it is very easy to stand unsteadily. Lu Qianqian kept this posture for a while, then he couldn't stand. Seeing that no one answered, they were all joking with each other, and he simply stood up. She thought that Lin Xiangyin was mean, and would not dare to embarrass her in front of others. Unexpectedly, she just thought about it in her head. Lin Xiangyin yelled with anger. "Who told you to get up? Lu, where have you learned your rules? Now kneel down for the princess." Everyone's eyes immediately fell on Lu Qian. Although Lu Qianqian hasn't been beaten, Lin Xiangyin's sentence has made her face hot and full of humiliation and grievance. Seeing that she didn't respond, Lin Xiangyin sneered. "If you don't kneel down, you're disrespectful to your mother. There's no rules. I'll report it back to the Lord to see how he will deal with you." Lu Qianqian red eyes, raised his head, This is still showing the cheek with fingerprints. Tears filled his eyes. Such a pathetic appearance is really a pity for the personality. It's a pity that all the women present are women, and no one is going to eat her. Lu Qianqian finally knelt down. She is very clear. Lin Xiangyin is disgusted with her this appearance. She must point to the end. Mo Shanghua's face light after watching this farce, suddenly got up and went out. Qin Yaben's heart is refreshing, but he didn't expect that the flower party in the street suddenly got up and quickly followed up. Before 2 steps, Lu Qianqian, who had been kneeling on the ground honestly, suddenly raised her hand and grasped her skirt. Tearful eyes whirled. Sister, I know you hate me, but why do you want to hurt me so much? You can see my present tragedy. I beg you to let me go and help me beg the princess to get around me. The tone is especially sincere and pitiful, as if it is true. Presumptuous. Who told you to slander our princess before the flowers on the street could speak? Qinya stepped forward and yelled. Mo Shanghua has no big reaction. She looks down at Lu Qianqian creeping on the ground, and the irony in her eyes turns into essence. Today's Lu Qianqian, and she is no longer the same status, even need her hands-on qualifications or not. Sure enough, Qinya just yelled, and Lin Xiangyin stood up and said angrily, "You son of a bitch, what are you talking about? Come on, take Lu down." Lu Qianqian was still unwilling. She grabbed the skirt of the flower in the street and cried out in tears, "Sister, I know you can't stand the princess in your heart, and you can't fight her face to face, so you want to slap a sweet jujube, but I'm innocent. Before I finish my sentence, I'm covered by my mother-in-law. I can't make a sound anymore, and I'm strongly pulled." He went down. Mo Shanghua never frowned from the beginning to the end, as if it was just a matter that was not worth mentioning at all. Only her heart knows. This is just the beginning. Should not belong to Lu Qianqian. She will eventually lose. Although Lin Xiangyin, who was full of anger, knew that Lu Qianqian was just climbing and biting at will, she was still a little suspicious in her heart. It scares my sister-in-law. How to leave aside for the moment, Lin Xiangyin still forced herself to smile, pretending to be gentle, but her tone was still a little stiff. The flower on the street nodded slightly, made it clear, then turned and left. Lin Xiangyin's face suddenly became cold, and her eyes were slightly irritated. Although they are in the same position now, how can she be the emperor's sister-in-law? How can she be so rude? Princess Ling, I don't think her face is very good. Qinya looks back with some worry. The flower head on the street also does not return of continue to lead to walk, complexion light. I just look around, just no harm. Qinya hesitated and looked at the flowers on the street, and said in a soft voice, "But after all, you call her Huang Sa. She should have known that I have always been like this. Besides, we are in the same position. Why should I bow to her?" Mo Shanghua didn't agree with her, and her pace gradually slowed down. Qinya has no choice but to follow her, not to speak. Taking advantage of this banquet, Yen Moli was not in the mansion. She pretended to look around, and turned most of the palace around, secretly recording the terrain in her heart. As for the wedding banquet, I'm afraid that all the people who came to see the joke, none of them sincerely congratulated. In case of doubt, Mo Shanghua only visited half of Ling Wangfu, so she asked Lin Xiangyin to tell her that she would return home. Lin Xiangyin learned that there was no response. Until the rest of the guests were all scattered, she got up and went to the inner house. Then in Lin Xiangyin's courtyard, in front of many maidservants, Lu Qianqian, the nominal side imperial concubine, was escorted in the courtyard and knelt on the ground in embarrassment. Someone had already brought her a chair, a table, tea and snacks for her to sit down. Lin Xiangyin sat down on the top of the seat, and then she swept over coldly. "Lu, you warned you a few days ago. If you are restless, I will never forgive you. It seems that the lessons of the past few days have not been enough." Before Lu Qianqian had time to explain, a maid beside Lu Qianqian came down, raised her hand and slapped her in the face. Lu Qian's face, which had not yet improved, suddenly became red and swollen again. But the handmaid did not stop, and continued to slap and slap. Lu Qianqian's beautiful cheek was almost twisted with pain, but she held back her tears and cried. However, the heart is counting silently, counting the time. When it was 10 slaps, there was a sound of footwork around. Then the slap finally stopped and everyone knelt down. Lin Xiangyin also got up to greet. Cousin, you are back. She has recovered a little bit. When she got married, she hated it in her heart, but Yin Moli was able to put down her face and took the initiative to coax her. She was uncomfortable for a few days. She had already forgiven him in her heart, and only put the blame on Lu Qianqian. Yen Emoli saw Lin Xiangyin look over, lips also slightly raised, said with a smile. You forget, now it's time to call my lord or husband. Lin Xiangyin's pretty face flushed slightly, her head lowered and she didn't speak. Lu Qianqian had never seen Yen Moli since that day, and Yen Moli ignored all the letters he sent. Now I saw it with my own eyes. I felt a great pain in my heart. After thinking about it, I decided to have a try. Lu Qianqian, who had just said nothing, was filled with tears, her cheeks were red and swollen, and her lips were blood-stained. Lord, save me. She knelt pitifully to Yen Moli's feet, and looked up at Yen Moli almost begging. Yen Mo's face, which had just been full of smiles, suddenly became cold, and his voice was cold without any emotion. Did Lu offend the princess? Lin Xiangyin hesitated to look at Lu Qianqian, and nodded slightly. Lu's people lost their appearance in front of her, and her words and deeds were not like that. I just punished her. Yen Mo continued coldly. Did you all hear that? Still don't drag her far away to punish? If Lu Qianqian was struck by lightning, he thought about the wording for a long time. Now he can't say a word, and his face is full of despair and pain. Lin Xiangyin was smiling and took Yen Moli's arm. My cousin knows me best and cares for me most. In Lu Qian's despair, they leave together. Yen Beiqing has been busy recently, but he has not forgotten the flowers on the street. Although he didn't fully inquire about the affairs in Ling Wangfu, he wrote down exactly what happened in Liufu before Lu Qianqian entered Ling Wangfu in the paper industry, especially Lu Bohan's attitude towards Lu Qianqian, which was a relief for the strangers. However, Mo Shanghua didn't pay much attention to these. Recently, she began to investigate the flaws left by Lu Qianqian's successful replacement of her identity. She never believed that such an important thing could be wiped out. South Crane in these days spread sick death news, secretly also quietly help her to inquire. After many days of investigation, the progress is still very weak. Life is very fast. When Mo Shanghua is at a loss, Yen Xinchuan, who has been keeping him for a month and a half, finally asks for permission to move out of the palace. Mo Shanghua gives all these things to Nanhua Qianlu for the time being, but she goes to the 13 princes' residence to take care of Yen Xinchuan. After 2 months, Yen Xinchuan's face was much better than when he was in the palace a month ago, but he was still sick, and his soft face was also morbid white. However, the spirit is much better than before. It must be caused by stopping the previous medicine. Your Highness looks much better. Let me feel your pulse. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang swept a circle on Yen Xinchuan's face and tried to calm down his tone. Yen Xinchuan's soft and handsome face pulled out a gentle smile and stretched out his wrist. That's the trouble for Huang Sa. Now his sister-in-law is more comfortable. Mo Shanghua sighs in her heart, but she is also happy for him. The dead are gone, and he should be. Your Highness is very well, but I'm afraid that he will continue to recuperate from his previous illness. The flower on the road has passed the pulse. Yen Xinchuan took back his wrist with a smile, but he couldn't see any beautiful thoughts in his eyes. In this way, I'd like to thank Huang Sa. I'll take care of myself in the future. The flower on the street also said with a smile. You don't have to be so polite. This is what I promised before. By the way, I'll prescribe a prescription for you to recuperate and detoxify now. I'll check your pulse every 3 days. In this way, after a year and a half, your body is not very different from that of ordinary people. No need. Yen Xinchuan's tone suddenly changed. Before I was in the palace, I was ordered by my father, so no one would dare to say anything, but now I'm outside the palace. If it is true, I'm afraid my sister-in-law's reputation will be destroyed. So it is. I'm not careful. There was a touch of chagrin on his brows. She forgot the atmosphere here. She didn't care much about it. But this is the imperial city. It's not just that she doesn't care. If someone wants to make a fuss about it, it's harmful to others and herself. Yen Xinchuan's face was still warm and moist. He just held his lips and laughed. He said, I know that the emperor's wife is fighting for my good. Now I'm very good. I don't dare to ask for anything. On the street, flower thin eyebrow tiny stir up, in the heart a little bit doubt. You don't wonder who gave you so many years of poison? Yen Xinchuan gently shook his head, as if the rain had soaked the eyes of a calm. I don't want to be involved in court disputes. Unless necessary. His heart slightly bitter. The bottom of the eyes gush out a bit of complex color. Busy convergence eyes cover up the look inside the eyes. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang swept a circle on his soft face, pretended not to know. General turned his head, did not continue to ask. There is an imperial doctor named Lu Zheng in my house. He is no inferior to me. I will order him to come back to treat you. Mo Shanghua stood up and spoke faintly. After a pause she added, in the name of King Yu. Yen Xinchuan's words had not yet had time to say. The flower on the street had already got up and left. Yen Xinchuan's face was stained with some helplessness, and there was some strange look in his eyes. Only and did not fall into the eyes of flowers. Lu Zheng is quite busy recently, but after listening to what Mo Shanghua said, he just answered. The next morning he went to the 13th prince's residence, and asked for pulse conditioning for Yen Xinchuan. In this way, the flower side also has a free time. However, the imperial city has always been full of eventful people. Lin Xiangyin's post came over before he had time to do what he was doing. They were already unhappy before Lin Xiangyin's wedding, and had little contact with each other. Why do they continue to send the invitation now? Princess, why don't you push? Qinya turned her lips, and her pretty face was slightly unhappy. Mo Shanghua put the post away and thought deeply in her eyes. This time may be a good time to revisit the palace of King Ling. Thinking about this, Mo Shanghua looks up at Qinya and says, Go tell the boy who came to send the post that I will go tomorrow. Yes. Qinya some reluctantly took the post, turned down. Mo Shanghua has turned and entered the bedroom. She takes out the topographic map drawn after she came back from Ling Wangfu last time, and looks down at it carefully. This topographic map is only half drawn. Most of the buildings on it are route buildings, and there is little arrangement of soldiers. For one thing, the day soldiers were usually stationed in the outer courtyard. Second, most of the soldiers began to patrol at night. What she had to do was to find out where the soldiers were, avoid them and sneak into Yen Moli's study quietly. A lot of secrets must be among them. With this in mind, Mo Shanghua specially chose a good time, and went to Ling Wangfu in the evening. At this time just after the afternoon heat, very cool, Say also cannot find a flaw. After the concierge of Tongling Palace reported, Mosheng Flower was led into the palace. Lin Xiangyin had been waiting in the main hall. Today's Lin Xiangyin deliberately changed some pretty goose yellow clothes, and her delicate face was full of smiles, as if she was still a girl before her marriage. As soon as she saw the flowers on the street, she went forward affectionately. Sister Mo, you have finally come, but let me wait. Lin Xiangyin's enthusiasm makes Mo Shanghua feel uncomfortable. She quietly opens up some distance from her and smiles politely. Please wait for Huang Sa for a long time. Huang Sa still likes to call me sister-in-law. If it's spread, I'll be fine. I'm afraid I'll pollute Huang Sa's reputation. Lin Xiangyin was a little embarrassed and said, Why do you care so much between you and me? There is no one else here. Is it? The flower eyes on the street fell to Lu Qianqian, who was standing behind Lin Xiangyin, and was as honest as a transparent person. As soon as she came in, she saw Lu Qianqian, but she didn't break it. Now that I have mentioned it, I have to say, the wound on Lu's face seems to be good. What kind of medicine was used? It's so magical? Lu Qianqian today can apply a thick powder cheek a little stiff, lift eyes to see Lin Xiangyin. Lin Xiangyin hummed in her heart and nodded her head. She is not really suitable to participate in such a topic. Lu Qianqian just opened her mouth. Her voice, which was plain and soft, was a little hoarse at this time. It's all the kindness of the princess who sent some good medicine to my concubine. That's how she got better so quickly. The flowers on the street are smiling, but they sweep over her face, which is very pale because of the application of fat powder. Obviously, she doesn't say anything, but Lu Qianqian has already felt that she has been greatly humiliated. 5 younger brothers and sisters, come on, let's sit down first. I've got some excellent bilyuakun recently. As soon as I heard that you were coming, I told my servant girl to cook it. In the meantime, the maid came with tea. The flower on the street raised her eyes in surprise, and her eyes swept around Lin Xiangyin and Lu Qianqian. Lin Xiangyin doesn't hate Lu Qianqian the most. Why does she speak for her? Lin Xiangyin, unaware of the perplexity of the flower, put tea in front of the flower and said with a smile, "There are still some snacks given by the imperial palace. You may as well try them all." The flower on the street whispered thanks, slightly asterisking her eyes, and covered the surprise in her eyes. Lu Qianqian also sat down with Lin Xiangyin's permission, twisted a piece in his hand and said with a smile, "This heart is so sweet, worthy of the imperial gift." The flower's eyes on the street turned around Lu Qian's smiling face and said slowly, "It seems that Lu's concubine often went to the queen's palace before she married into the palace. Why, didn't she even eat the snacks made by the emperor? If you've eaten it, it's too flattering now. If not, does it imply that the queen is mean?" Lu Qian's smile again stiffed down, 5 fingers tightly together. It was Lin Xiangyin. Her face was a little dark, and she looked at Lu Qianqian in a gloomy way. The pain of long and sharp fingernails in the palm called Lu Qianqian's mind back. She pulled the corner of her lips and said with a smile, "It's really sweet. I can't help praising it. Don't you think, princess, you thinks it?" Mo Shanghua nodded with no smile. "Naturally." Lin Xiangyin quickly took over the conversation and said with a smile, "5 younger brothers and sisters have not had dinner yet. Now it's almost the same. Why don't you stay for dinner together for a while?" Lu Qianqian is very good at looking, but she doesn't rush to talk. Lin Xiangyin gives full play to her right as the imperial concubine of Ling Palace. The flower on the street also brought a smile on her cold and beautiful face. She answered with a very clear smile, "My sister-in-law specially invited me and invited me warmly. Naturally, I can't bear to refuse. I'd like to thank her for her kindness." "That sounds good." Lin Xiangyin's face softened a little, and her smile deepened. "In this way, I will order people to prepare for it now." Just about to call the maidservant to give orders, there was a steady sound of footsteps at the door, and at the same time, the voice of the boy's report. "Here comes the lord." As soon as his voice fell, Yan Mo, dressed in a royal blue robe, stepped into the hall. The smile on the handsome face is more and more elegant and gentle. "Watch, lord." Lin Xiangyin stood up with a smile, just bent down for luggage, and was firmly held by Yan Emoli. A low, elegant voice sounded in her ear. "I said the princess doesn't have to be polite to me." Lu Qianqian is also busy to get up. Gather Mao to cover the color of hatred and pain in Mao. Curl to bow down. "I've seen Wang Yi." Yan Emoli casually should a. The vision swept a circle at will in the hall. This just noticed to sit on the side of Mo Shanghua. The bottom of his eyes quickly passed a touch of gloom, and the smile on his face was as usual. "Why are 5 younger brothers and sisters here today?" Mo Shanghua got up and said with a faint smile, "I've been here for a long time, but since the second brother is here, I don't want to disturb him." Yan Mo Lixing is sensitive and suspicious. If she wants to explore with him, she will take more risks. Lin Xiangyin quickly went to take her arm, angry Yan Mo Li. "I'll blame the lord. Sister-in-law originally agreed to have dinner with us. As soon as you come back, sister-in-law will leave." Finished saying and intimately shook the arm of Mo Shanghua. "Good sister-in-law, Mo elder sister, you just said with me. How can you say back on back?" Yan Emoli saw this. The smile on Jun's face did not decrease, but the smile did not reach the bottom of his eyes. Well, in this case, you are alone to have a banquet together. I will use some in my study." Lu Qianqian also stepped forward, soft and sweet voice. "I also hope my sister can stay to have dinner together. In fact, the more I look at all the things in front of me, the more wrong I feel. I'm afraid there's cheating." Qinya pinched the palm of her hand nervously and looked at the flowers. Mo Shanghua gently shakes her head, and then quietly pulls out her arm. First she glances at Lu Qianqian, and her red lips are cold. What elder sister does not elder sister, Lu sighed imperial concubine don't call casually. A few days ago your elder sister almost destroyed my reputation. Now I just listen to the words of elder sister and tremble. Lu sighed imperial concubine, or according to the rules to come. The smile on Lu Qianqian's face almost split in an instant, and a touch of hate came out of his eyes. Yin Moli immediately reprimanded. How can you speak here? Lu Qianqian squeezed the palm of her hand, then lowered her eyes and said cleverly, Yes, I know my mistake. Lin Xiangyin's slightly contemptuous eyes turned around her body, and then fell on the flower. She said with a smile, It's just a side concubine. Don't worry about her sister-in-law. We're sitting here or we can have dinner together. Qin Yaxio frowned, and her lips moved. She wanted to say something to her lips, but she swallowed it again. Her eyes were fixed on Lu Qianqian, who was more careful than her maidservant. Who knows? At this time Lu Qianqian seems to be particularly docile and deceptive, but in fact his eyes are full of resentment and his heart is full of resentment. The flowers on the street only use the remaining light to skim, then they don't open their mouth. Their ruddy lips are slightly pursed, and they look very hesitant. Yan Emoli seems to see the hesitation of Emo Shanghua, but he can't take the initiative to open his mouth. You women's things will come to you. I still have important things to deal with. Go to the study first. To the king. The salute of Lin Xiangyin and Lu Qianqian. I want to go to change clothes. I wonder if my sister-in-law can send someone to guide me? After a moment's silence, the flower suddenly opened its mouth, and its eyes fell on Lin Xiangyin's face. Changing clothes means convenience. Lin Xiangyin couldn't refuse, so she appointed a maid to come forward. Emo Shanghua walked behind, and the maid followed her to lead the way. Just out of the main hall, Emo Shanghua stopped and said with a straight face, My hairpin seems to have fallen off. Qinya, please help me to look around here. Then he looked at the maid assigned to Lin Xiangyin. You are quite familiar with Ling Wangfu. Can you help me go back and have a look? The maid raised her eyes and looked at the flower temples on the street. When she saw that the hairpin she had brought was missing, she whispered and turned around. Flowers on the street also hang their heads and look around. The maid sighed to find the edge of the rockery at the back, actually hiding behind the rockery, quietly looked toward the side of the flowers on the street. CMO Shanghua and Qinya are looking for particularly serious. This just take back the line of sight, continue to look for. Don't look for it. After glancing at the rockery, Hua Yuguang suddenly straightened up and said faintly, You're here now. I'll come. Qinya is very smart and intelligent. Now she knows. The princess can rest assured. Emo Shanghua nodded slightly, and stepped into a group of rockeries in front. Yin Moli has been standing here for a long time. Hearing the sound of footsteps, he turned his head and looked at the flowers coldly. You are not stupid. Emo Shanghua faintly smiles and does not give in to fight back. If I am stupid, how can I make you like a big enemy, but when I am invited to your house, I make you nervous? It's kind of ridiculous. Yan Emo stares at Emo Shanghua with sharp eyes and sneers. My king won't talk to women one by one. I only warn you that Ling Wangfu is as solid as gold. If you want to see something out of it, don't say it's impossible. It's just a temporary failure. It's impossible to die. Emo Shanghua's calm eyes are full of sarcasm and provocation. Then wait and see. After that, he turned to leave. After a few steps, he stopped again and said coolly, In addition, His Royal Highness the King of Ling is threatening his younger siblings here. I think it's a funny thing if it's spread out. A smile and then walk away, footsteps gradually away. Yen Moli, a handsome face almost in an instant cage a layer of cloud, gnashing his teeth from the teeth to squeeze out a few words. Emo upper flower dash. Unfortunately, it can't kill people like this. Emo Shanghua went back to the hall unharmed, but it was Yen Beiqing of Shengguashifu who sneezed for some reason. Although Yen Moli lost his demeanor as a man and Lin Xiangyin was not calm enough in her work, she was considerate. When Emo Shanghua came back, she scolded the maid face to face. However, she is still very young. She only knows how to talk with the stranger, but she doesn't know the people in the network. Then it's time for dinner. The royal family has many rules. It pays attention to food and sleep. Naturally, Lin Xiangyin is also obedient and doesn't talk. Lu Qianqian, as a side imperial concubine, is also qualified to attend the banquet, but only has the share of company. According to the common sense, it's time to leave after dinner, but Lin Xiangyin seems to be particularly affectionate. She just drags Mo Shanghua around the house, and Lu Qianqian continues to accompany her. I heard that my sister-in-law knew how to do medicine, and he was very eager to get it. Some days ago, my brother-in-law was not well, so I went to see him myself. After such a big round, Lin Xiangyin got to the point. Mo Shanghua sighed in her heart. She was still modest. I just know a little bit. Last time I was just lucky. Lu Qianqian, who has always been like a transparent man, suddenly stepped forward and said with a smile, "Princess, you don't be modest. This matter has spread all over the imperial city. Now the princess is famous in the imperial city." Flowers on the street, smile unchanged, but also did not answer. Lin Xiangyin turned her mind, gathered a smile, took Lu Qianqian's hand and said, "Don't be surprised, sister-in-law. The reason why Lu's concubine asked this question was that she had a recent illness, and ordinary doctors couldn't see why. So she had the courage to speak, hoping that her younger brother and sister would care for her. The two men, who were still in the same situation a few days ago, are now holding each other's hands intimately. It seems that they really have a kind of sisterhood. However, it is not clear why this is the result of sisterhood. I didn't expect that Huang Sa was so generous. So soon she became a close sister with Lu's side imperial concubine. She said. Lin Xiangyin's eyes flashed. Holding Lu Qianqian's hand was a little embarrassed, and it was not easy to let go. Then he could only harden his head and said with a smile, "Those things were not Sister Lu's fault. Besides, Sister Lu has already explained the reason to me, and I don't blame her anymore." Flowers on the road nodded slightly, silent. Once upon a time, she was too eager to feel the coldness of Mo Shanghua's attitude. Now she has changed her identity, which makes her feel hot and cold. Lin Xiangyin was a little annoyed on her face. She forbeared again and again, and forced out a smile. "Brother and sister, what I just said." Mo Shanghua turned her head and asked, "What's the matter?" "If you are a normal person, I'm afraid you will have no face to go on." But Lin Xiangyin didn't know what was in her mind. She put up with it and continued to smile. Concubine Lu has always been palpitating and upset recently. How about helping her feel her pulse? Lu Qianqian smell speech. Can't help but raise hand Wu to own chest. Lu may light see you. A pair of weak at any time to faint appearance. It's just. There's no sign of weakness in the thick fat on her face. The corner of Flower's lips on the street pulled out a sarcastic smile, and said with a smile, "The emperor's sister-in-law thinks that if I treat her personally as Lu's concubine, if it's cured it's better. If it's cured, it's whose head it should be." "On my head, of course." Lin Xiangyin blurted out that she had just uttered her words, and she was very regretful. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian said busily, "Princess, you can cure the 13 princes. Why can't you help me?" Said in the eye gradually died the steam. The full face pitifully weak state. Mo Shanghua has no pity for her, even a little tired. What identity does Lu's side imperial concubine think she is? Can compare with 13 princes unexpectedly. She directly cold complexion. Don't give Lu Qianqian leave a scent face. Lu Qianqian's face seems to have been uncovered by Shengsheng, and he threw it on the ground and trampled on it. His face is hot. Lin Xiangyin's face was also ugly. She looked at the flowers in the street with a stiff face. The flowers on the street did not move at all. Such an obvious trap. Do you really think she is a fool? Lu Qianqian's hatred at the bottom of her eyes is almost irrepressible, especially when there is no way to take the flowers. Lin Xiangyin's stiff face didn't respond to it, and she was already feeling withdrawn. It's so hard to deal with Mo Shanghua. She'd better find another time next time. Thinking about this, Lin Xiangyin reluctantly squeezed out a smile, and held the hand of Mo Shanghua. What my sister-in-law said is that, in this case, I will find another doctor to treat Lu's concubine. Mo Shanghua quietly took out her hand, and her face was indifferent. Since Huang Sa has plans, I should say goodbye. Lu Qianqian looked at the scene in front of her eyes, and her eyes almost cried with hatred. Now, as a concubine of the royal family, she can join the genealogy, but she is not qualified to attend the real palace banquet, let alone to see the flowers on the street. Thinking of this, Lu Qianqian's eyes turned slightly and came forward with tears in her eyes. It's all Qianqian who doesn't know what's good or bad. I hope, Princess, you will forgive me. Mo Shanghua glanced at her faintly and didn't respond. Lu Qianqian was willing to face, continue to go forward, and the distance between the flowers on the street a little closer. Princess, you and I used to be sisters. I used to be obsessed with everything. I didn't mean to be against you. Please forgive me for this. Said also learn Lin Xiangyin's appearance, grasped the hand of Mo Shanghua. How to get close to each other like to grasp. The willow eyebrows of the flowers on the street suddenly frown. As soon as they want to draw their hands back, they see that their eyes are filled with tears just now. Lu Qianqian, with a pathetic look, suddenly raises her eyes and looks at her. There is no clear color in the eyes, and there is no cover for the hatred and malice in the eyes. You are the most cunning and clever, but you forget the reason that cleverness is mistaken by cleverness. Lu Qianqian stares at the flowers on the street and lowers her voice. Then, without waiting for her reaction, she suddenly screamed and fell back. Everyone present, including Mo Shanghua, was startled by her sudden action and looked at Lu Qianqian with different looks. Lin Xiangyin's mind was full of twists and turns. She immediately went forward and yelled, "Concubine Lu, are you crazy?" Not yet. Lu Qian is full of panic and fear of howling up. I see. She trembled voice, one hand straight at the flowers. Lin Xiangyin frowned, but she didn't yell. Instead, she went forward and said, "What do you see?" Lu Qianqian grasped Lin Xiangyin's sleeve tightly and said with fear and trembling. She Princess Yu's face just suddenly turned blue, and her eyes turned red. Evil, she is evil. Lin Xiangyin's face changed greatly. She immediately turned her eyes and looked at the flowers on the street. Are you a human or a ghost? What have you done to the fifth younger brother and sister? The rest of the maidservants all looked puzzled, or a little alarmed, a little curious, and secretly looked at the flowers on the street. The ruddy lips of the flowers on the street suddenly evoke a smile, but it is not a genuine smile, but full of irony. Concubine Lu had suffered from madness before, and even the Empress had seen it with her own eyes. I think it's still a madness now. How can Huang Sa believe a madman? In a word, it's true. Besides, Lu Qianqian only saw the change. Not everyone saw it with his own eyes. How can he win the trust? This woman is really stupid. Unexpectedly, a woman's voice full of fear followed. Maidservant also saw. The flower on the street turns around. After seeing the comber clearly, the color of her eyes changes slightly. This person is not someone else, but Aunt Zhang, who was determined to follow when she went out today. After being warned by Mo Shanghua, Aunt Zhang was really honest. Today, as the princess of Mo Shanghua, she can't only take Qinya as a maid. Aunt Zhang is so honest recently. Today, she shows a gesture of trying to make up for her mistakes. Qinya believes it. Along the way, and even to the Ling Wangfu, Aunt Zhang is honest. Mo Shanghua went out alone and only took Qinya. Even Mo Shanghua almost forgot the existence of this person. It never occurred to me that she was waiting here. Lin Xiangyin glanced at the aunt's face and suddenly said, "You used to serve the Empress?" "Yes, the maid was assigned by the Empress to serve Princess Yu." Aunt Zhang immediately knelt down and stood upright. She served in the palace all the year round to learn the etiquette and rules, which was really different from the other maidservants present. "Since I'm Gong's aunt, I won't lie. Aunt, please tell us that I'm not crazy." I really saw it. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian quickly came up to catch Aunt Zhang's hand and spoke sincerely. Aunt Zhang's eyes flashed and she fell down in front of Princess Ling. "I dare not say, but I hope Princess Ling can help me." Lin Xiangyin glanced at the flowers on the street, then held Aunt Zhang and said, "Aunt Zhang, where did you come from?" Aunt Zhang opened her mouth full of fear and panic. "I have seen you more than once, but the princess has threatened me more than once. If she dares to chew her tongue, she will let me die. I'm scared all day. I dare not breathe in the atmosphere of the house, for fear that if I offend the princess, I will die. Speaking of this, she can't help complaining. In other people's house, the maids who are appointed by the empress are not particularly decent, only maidservants. Now even the princess doesn't dare to come near and wait on her. Today, I have the chance to ask Princess Ling to save the maidservant. Lu Qianqian knelt to Lin Xiangyin and said, Sister Princess, this is not the same thing. If you are really in a dilemma, you can take us to the palace to meet the empress. We will make it clear to her. Lin Xiangyin was in a dilemma and taboo again. She took a look at the flowers in the street, and looked very hesitant. The flowers on the street see this. Eyes color also gradually dignified down. A pair of deep black eyes and also no longer the previous calm, cold stare at them. What about entering the palace? I'm born to be a human being. Naturally, I'm not afraid of your slander. In this way, we'll go into the palace and ask you to distinguish clearly behind the scenes. Lin Xiangyin looked at the flowers on the street full of embarrassment. She felt a little sorry on her face. Sister-in-law, I'm really sorry. I can't cover up for you when something like this happens. Face a pair of so pure appearance. In fact, the bottom of the eyes happy, almost uncontrollable, ready to come out. The flowers on the street coldly raised their red lips and jeered. Is that true? That's really to think Huang saw. Lin Xiangyin's eyes flickered, and she dodged the eyes of the flowers on the street. Go and report back to the Lord. She is sending someone to report to King Yu's house. She is preparing the chariots and horses. Now she is in the palace. All business orders go on. She just got up a little guilty, and was happy to pressure down. Emo Shanghua, you have been punished. In order to revenge Lu Qianqian, you deliberately destroyed my wedding on my wedding day. It's really annoying and hateful. Even the previous help is to use. Will I play in the palm of the stock? Such calculations must be to pay the price. Either die, or waste this body and her equal honor. In Cunning Palace, Empress Lin just had lunch, when she saw the female official running in a hurry. The female official whispered in her ear, then retreated to one side. Empress Lin's face is dignified, the Mao light is fierce looking at female official. Li Sun, how to say? The female official did not speak, but gently nodded her head, and her eyes were filled with cool air. Empress Lin knew what was going on in her heart. She straightened out her red robe and just got up. Follow me to the main hall. In the main hall of Cunning Palace, Missouri Shanghua, Lin Xiangyin and others were already waiting in the hall, and even Yan Moli came in person. After all, this matter is very important. Yan Moli is King Ling, and it happened in King Ling's mansion. Naturally, he wants to come. Lear, what's the matter with you guys? Why did you come here in the middle of the night? Empress Lin clearly knows, but she has doubts on her face. She Feng Mao a sweep. Fall again on the Lu Qianqian body of the station in the corner. Lu Shi, how did you also come? How can a concubine meet the queen? Empress Lin is ridiculing Lu Qian on purpose. Lu Qianqian squeezed the palm of her hand, and went forward to kneel down. Side concubine Lu Shi greets the empress. As a side imperial concubine, there is no qualification to call a mother with the queen. It's only a month since we treated each other courteously in the past, and now we are sneering at each other. Lu Qianqian's eyes filled with hatred, and suddenly said, I want to report to the empress. Today's Princess Yu is no longer the real Princess Yu, but is bowed down by demons. Or, she is a monster herself. Empress Lin was a little surprised. She looked down at Lu Qianqian. Lu, if you think about it, it's a felony to slander the princess. No one can be selfish. Lu Qianqian, who was usually very weak, was very firm at the moment and said, I'm not slandering you. I just can't bear to see the empress and the king Yu being hoodwinked. That's what I have to do. Empress Lin's eyes swept over the people who were standing or kneeling. She frowned slightly. When it comes to King Yu, where is he like today? Lin Xiangyin came forward at this time and said in a soft voice, After returning to her mother, my son's minister has sent someone to invite her. The behavior is dignified a lot. Empress Lin some satisfaction of nod. Lu Shi, since you have a definite idea, the palace will allow you to share it. Empress Lin looked at Lu Qianqian again. Although she has been deprived of the right to associate the sixth palace, she is the queen after all. She is the only one who can intervene in such affairs. If she changes other concubines, she will have to ask Baorong Emperor to come. Empress Lin thought carefully in her heart that she would make good use of it. If she could not say it, she would seize the opportunity to take back the power of the sixth palace. Yan Moli, who was only implicated by Lin Xiangyin and Lu Qianqian, had already retreated to one side, and his eyes only exchanged with Empress Lin for a moment. Even Lin Xiangyin, who was most concerned about Yan Moli, did not notice. Mo Shanghua stands quietly in the hall from the beginning to the end. Her eyes are as quiet as an ancient well and a secluded pool. She is very calm and doesn't make any waves. However, Qinya behind her did not know where she had gone. Outside the hall at that time, Qinya stood for a while, then quietly retreated. However, just after a few steps, a maid-in-waiting suddenly came forward and grabbed her arm. "Where are you going?" Qinya was a little flustered in her heart, and quickly pulled out a smile on her face. "My sister is not the queen's personal servant. How did she get outside the hall? There's no one around the queen. I'm afraid it's not good?" The maid of honor slightly raised her head and said in a cold voice, "I have no time to talk to you. The queen has orders. No one can step out of the cunning hall until the matter is found out. I want to ask you what I want to do if I want to leave here in a hurry." Qinya's face is slightly white, and her palm is greasy. "It's just urgent to urinate. Don't get me wrong. If she doesn't feel at ease, she can find someone to accompany me." That palace maid obviously still don't believe. Cold Mao glanced Qinya one eye, pointed to a palace maid nearby. "You go with her." When Qinya turns around and goes forward under the guidance of the maid of honor, her hands are tightly mixed, and her palms are full of sweat. Lu Qianqian called Aunt Zhang out to testify, while she glanced at the stranger from time to time with a little fear. Aunt Zhang came forward, almost half of her body lying on the ground. "Empress, I can see you." Empress Lin's eyebrows were slightly frowned, and her voice was slightly cold. "Speak well. This is not the time for us to discuss our old love with you." "Yes, yes." Aunt Zhang quickly wiped her eyes and said, "In the name of the queen, I went to the palace to serve the prince and the princess. But the princess has a strange habit. Besides Qinya, I don't allow anyone else to get close to me, and I'm beaten by the maid in every way. Every time I want to get close, I'll be blocked by the princess." After a pause, her face gradually showed a bit of panic. Later, the maid did not want to know that the princess had been destroyed in the past. She described her as terrible as a ghost. Later, she recovered overnight, even more beautiful than before. According to other Yuzhou old people in the palace, the princess's character became more eccentric after that. At this point, Lu Qianqian also timely words. Sister used to be the most pure and kind-hearted, but since she went to Yuzhou, she seems to have changed. A while ago, she even knocked over her mother's memorial tablet, forcing her father to break up with her, and even more aggressively forced me. Say already red eye socket. Mo Shanghua's eyes just turned around and stared at Lu Qianqian coolly. "I'm really curious. One of you used to be a palace maid next to your mother, the other used to be a prime minister. Why did you unite?" Her voice is not urgent and slow, but she is accurate and ruthless. Lu Qian's overlapping hands were tight for me, but I couldn't find an explanation. What caught her unprepared was the words that followed. "I heard that Aunt Zhang had been sent by the Empress to manage Chuangsu since the year before last. Lu, but you were found last year and entered the imperial city." She neither explained nor flustered, only caught out the loopholes between Lu Qianqian and Aunt Zhang again and again. Yan Emoli, who was standing on one side, changed his eyes slightly. He was already angry. Lu Qianqian is such a fool. Every time he doesn't discuss with him, he acts without permission. He would rather make such a big mistake than discuss with him. As everyone knows, it's clear that he doesn't even give Lu Qianqian the chance to see her, which makes her feel desperate and impulsive, so she wants to fight for it. At the moment, Lin Xiangyin also scolded Lu Qianqian for countless times in her heart, for fear that she would implicate herself and Ling Wangfu. Aunt Zhang's face has changed greatly, her eyes are turning around, and her back is in a cold sweat. Lu Qianqian forcibly restrained her inner confusion, reorganized her mind and said, I was born in the countryside. When Aunt Zhang was in Chuangsu, I had been favored by Aunt Zhang. Later, I had no intention to meet again in the imperial city, so I had a connection. That makes sense. Aunt Zhang immediately, as if caught a straw in general, hastily opened her mouth. Yes, that's what happened. The maidservant was also afraid, and there was no one to complain about. Seeing that Lu's wife was kind-hearted, she grumbled with Lu. Miss Lu had the same discovery, which was expected. Then he cried with great acting skills. I used to be around the queen for many years, but I can't bear to see her being deceived and cheated. Empress Lin squeezed the arms of the phoenix chair with a little effort, and then she loosened her hands slightly, and said, That's what it is. These are not enough to prove that what you said is true. Mo's medical skill is superior. Even too many hospitals are not as good. Can cure for themselves is not impossible. Lu Qianqian suddenly looked up and said, Empress, I just fell lightly when I was a child, and there are still scars on my knee. My sister's previous scar is deeply visible. It must be that Hua Tuo is alive, and I can't cure such scars completely. What's more terrifying is that I was in the palace just now, but I saw the blue face and fangs of Princess Yu with my own eyes. Yes, Empress. Aunt Zhang glanced at Lu Qianqian from time to time. When she saw her talking, she said, Once again, I heard the princess's words and orders outside my room. I don't know why I suddenly felt pain. I was warned by the princess. If I could touch the void, I would feel pain all over my body. If it wasn't for evil, how could I have such ability? Empress Lin listened to their words. Lu Mei frowned slightly, as if in a dilemma. Seeing this, Lin Xiangyin stepped forward 2 steps and remonstrated. Empress, I don't think their words are credible. Would you like to invite the National Master or Ningxian Master to identify them? Xining knew well that he had come to prominence in front of Emperor Baorong. Everyone in the palace, including Emperor Baorong, respected him as an immortal master. Standing aloof, comparable to the national teacher, Empress Lin hung her eyes and thought for a moment. She was very embarrassed. The national teacher always has a good head but no tail. She has a noble temperament. I'm afraid that this kind of royal scandal can't invite the national teacher. After a pause, he said, Lu Xianqi has a gentle personality and is good at celestial arts. It must be more appropriate. Come on, please ask Master Ningxian to come here. Immediately there was a maid in waiting. The hall was also quiet at this time, and the atmosphere was particularly depressing. After a while, the maiden who went first came back and said to Empress Lin, Tell Empress Lin that he is busy and needs to wait for a while to come. Lu Qian tightly clasped his hands and relaxed them. A touch of relaxation passed over her soft face. Aunt Zhang was also greatly relieved. On the contrary, Emo Shanghua seems to be paying attention to this matter at this moment, and her eyes are dignified. The superstition of people in this era is beyond her control. Ning Kongji is involved with Yan Moli. If he insists on proving himself, she will be doomed. Lu Qianqian see her such appearance, lips slightly raised, eyes gradually show proud. Emo Shanghua, your time of death is today. In order to be fair, Empress Lin asked again. Besides what you said, what evidence do you have? Lu Qianqian felt very confident, because she was very confident. Her face is the best evidence. Later, Ning Xianqi's words are also the best evidence. Well, wait here. Empress Lin nodded slightly and sat on the phoenix chair. Ning knew that he was really the best person to meet. Without delay, he soon came to the palace and only leaned over Empress Lin. Empress Lin naturally understood in her heart that Ning knew who she was, and she was more gentle towards him. She nodded with a smile. Ning Xianqi doesn't need to be polite. She gives him a seat. As a person valued by Emperor Baorong, Empress Lin naturally had to give her some dignity. Rather no to know a voice to thank, an Empress Lin life person moved to sit down on the seat. Yan Moli and he looked at each other from a distance, and a faint light flashed in his sharp and gloomy eyes. I'd rather know that there are no ups and downs on the surface. and I don't know whether I have seen it or not. Immortal Master, this time we invite you here, we want to. Empress Lin just said something, but Ning Jiji directly interrupted. I have already understood Empress Lin's intention. Empress Lin nodded with a smile. The Immortal Master is really clever. Ning knew that he was silent for a moment, and said, It's the maid of honor on the road who explained it to me. Empress Lin's face was covered with embarrassment. She had been immersed in the harem for many years, and soon adjusted. In this case, I'll trouble the Immortal Master to have a good look. If this is not what Lu said, I'd like to trouble the Immortal Master to keep it, so as not to make Princess Yu's reputation suffer again. What a gentle and virtuous look. The flowers in the street smile coldly. At the same time, there is also some tension in my heart. If she is really recognized as a goblin by Ning Tongji, she really has no chance to turn over. This is not in the modern atheist society. She simply cannot explain clearly with these feudal ancients. Especially when Ning knows that the eyes with gentle smile look at her. Her heart is more inexplicable, rise a bit nervous alert. Mo Shanghua avoids the eyes of Ning Jiji and wants to fight for himself. On second thought, no matter what she said now, it would be regarded as guilty. Now she has no chance to resist except waiting for Ning Tongji's trial. Ning knows that she has already stood up again, and stepped up to the side of Mo Shanghua. Her eyes are like the dense net woven layer upon layer, which tightly connects her with the internet. However, before Ning knew it, the eunuch's voice came out of the door. The National Master arrived. When they turned their heads together, they saw a black-robed, cold-faced, indifferent National Master slowly stepping in. Qinya, however, stealthily took advantage of the National Master to enter the palace and followed him. In the moment of seeing the national teacher's face clearly, the strings tightly stretched in Mo Shanghua's heart suddenly relaxed. And the heart was soft and relaxed. Empress Lin's heart is a little tight. Yan Mo Li's heart is also very worried. Others may not know, but their mother and son are most aware that they have secretly done many things with the National Master. Even Ning knew that it was in order to divide the power of the National Master that he tried to introduce it into the palace. The only thing that doesn't respond in the hall is that I'm rather familiar with it. He was neither surprised nor nervous. He just stood up to greet him with a faint smile. It's a great pleasure to meet you too. Empress Lin reluctantly pulled out a smile. Since the national teacher has come, please also sit down. God knows how much she hates the national teacher in her heart, but she has to look like this. It's really disgusting to think about it. The national teacher didn't speak. He only nodded to Ning Tongji. Then he sat down on the seat beside him. No one can see. His remaining light has already swept thousands of times from the flower face on the street, but there is no reaction on the face. The flowers on the street are slightly imperceptive, and feel more at ease. However, she had just relaxed a few minutes of the string, but it was too late to ease. Ning knew and looked at her again. Do you want to distinguish human demons with your naked eyes? The national teacher, who has always been cool and indifferent, spoke coldly. Rather no light smile, not angry. It seems that the national teacher also know the whole story. The national master nodded slightly, and his eyes were cold and thin. He said, since it's about gods, ghosts, human demons, I should have a look. Then he skimmed over Ning Tongji and looked directly at Lu Qianqian. I heard that you saw the green face and tusks of Princess Yu. Lu Qianqian was swept away by the cold eyes of the national teacher. He was a little nervous in his heart and nodded in affirmation. Just now. What kind of green face and tusks in detail? The national teacher's voice continued to ask indifferently. Lu Qianqian nervously gathered up her 5 fingers and opened her mouth without thinking. I was afraid and didn't see clearly at that time. Maybe my face was green and bloody, just like a monster. Can anyone else see it? He continued to ask questions. She was trying to intimidate me, so I was the only one to see it. Lu Qianqian pinched the palm of his hand and answered with a strong calmness. From the beginning to the end, Ning knew that he was standing still with a smile on his lips, but there was no smile in his eyes. The national master suddenly turned his head and looked at Ning Songji. In this case, I think the imperial concubine Lu is also infected with evil spirit. You might as well have a look at her first. Lu Qian hearted tight. Eyes toward Aunt Zhang body swept one eye. Aunt Zhang turned her eyes and said, I'm just a slave. I can't hear it. I can't get close to you on weekdays. I can't see it. She is very clear in her calculation. She will not be infected with evil spirits when she has been waiting in the house for several months. If she is treated as a demon together, it will not be worth the loss. Lu Qianqian is true. She didn't expect that Aunt Zhang only knew how to protect her life. Her face turned black, but she could only bear it. Yen Emoli silently glanced at rather no one eye, toward he handed a look. Rather no to touch with his eyes. And as if nothing happened to move away. The national master is the Emperor Baorong, who has to give some existence. Empress Lin hesitated for a moment, then quietly glanced at Yen Emoli. After all, she said, please have a look at Lu first. Rather no slightly a nod, Lift stepped to Lu Qianqian to walk. Staring at by those calm eyes, Lu Qianqian felt more and more nervous and bit his lip. He said, although the immortal master checked, I have more contact with Princess Yu after all. If I am infected with some evil spirit, I'm afraid it's inevitable. Please be careful. Emo Shanghua is also a little nervous in her heart, and her eyes are tightly following Ning Jiji's action. What are you going to do? It seems to feel the uneasiness in his heart. The national teacher sitting quietly at one side suddenly looks at her. He looks calm and confident in his eyes. Emo Shanghua's slightly uneasy heart seems to have been pacified and calmed down in an instant. Ning knew that the two people's eyes met, but there was no reaction on their faces. See, he turns ahead to defend the shue of one side to see one eye. Low voice ordered what? Shue immediately stepped back. Within a moment, she held a copper basin about 2 fingers deep with a flat bottom. There are some patterns of 5 elements and 8 trigrams around the copper basin, and an ancient and mysterious totem is carved on the bottom of the copper basin, which is not only elusive but also mysterious. All the people on the scene watched the copper basin he took out, holding their breath and staring at his movements. Then the woman came forward with a white jade vase, nodded to Ning, and poured the white jade vase into the copper basin. The liquid in the bottle is colorless and tasteless, just like ordinary well water, but after pouring it into the copper basin, there is a steaming cloud like boiling water. All the people present were surprised. Even Yen Moli was slightly surprised to see Ning Tongji show his ability in front of them for the first time. Only Emo Shanghua and the national teacher. The eyes are quickly across a touch of dark. I do not know what in the end thinking. Especially the national master, watching Yen Moli take out so many mysterious things. He had a strong sense of crisis for the first time. He only has the name of a national teacher, but the mysterious magic like the Wuxian clan is half impossible. If after a while he can't come up with more effective evidence, I'm afraid that Deluo Immortal can't save Emo Shanghua. Thinking of this, his hands on his knees were slightly tightened, and the bottom of his eyes was obscure. Ning Tongji asked Shue to take the copper basin to Lu Qianqian, and then when Yen explained, "This is the treasure of our witch fairy family. If the blood drops into it, it will be human. If it is dissolved in it, it must be a monster." After a long silence, the national master raised his head and asked, "If it's just contaminated with evil things, what's the reaction?" "It's also soluble in water. It's been around for hundreds of years, and there's no mistake." Rather no light a smile, softly explain. Lu Qianqian's heart fell straight into his stomach. Then he came forward, took the silver needle from a woman, punctured it between his fingers, and squeezed out a drop of fresh blood into the copper basin. At the moment when the blood drips into the boiling basin, the liquid suddenly calms down, and even the rising fog disappears, which makes the blood more clearly reflected in the eyes of the public, and finally melts into the colorless and tasteless liquid. And the fog rises again, as if nothing has happened. Lu Qianqian took a big breath and turned her eyes to see the flowers on the street. Her eyes were full of confidence. "It's your turn." Emo Shanghua's relaxed strings suddenly pull up again, but his face is very calm, with a clear conscience. He took the silver needle from Shue, but when it was about to sink into his fingers, he stopped and looked at the position of the needle. This silver needle is obviously not an ordinary thing. The position of the needle is engraved with the same complex pattern. It can drop small and delicate patterns on the silver needle. It really shows the mystery of the Wuxian clan. But the pattern on it and the cold touch of the silver needle between her fingers made her feel very strange. Why did Princess Yu dare not? Lu Qianqian saw the flowers on the street didn't stab them down, so she couldn't help but attack each other. After all, as long as the flowers prick down, waiting for a moment, she will be able to completely step on the flowers in the foot. For this scene, she had been dormant for more than a month. When she thought of that feeling, she almost instantly felt her blood boiling. Mo Shanghua returns to God. Mao Guang coldly looks back at Lu Qianqian, and the corner of his lips overflows with a sarcastic radian, then stabs this burst into his fingers. Before Lu Qian could get angry, he was attracted by the sudden changes in the copper basin. I saw that the mist rising from the copper basin disappeared completely when the blood of the flowers dropped in. This time, however, it did not disappear out of thin air. Instead, it was completely absorbed by the liquid in the copper basin. At this time, the water in the basin suddenly boils and spins, and then slowly forms a vortex. The most central point of red also slowly expanded, and finally dyed the whole basin of liquid scarlet, dazzling, but also let Lu Qianqian excited. Empress, I didn't lie. She is evil. Lu Qianqian's gentle and delicate face disappeared for a moment. She was almost excited to shout to Empress Lin. Lin Xiangyin was frightened, but her eyes were not controlled, and she let out a touch of happy color. The beautiful and calm face of the flower on the street also split in an instant. A heart fell straight down, but it was already searching for countermeasures. The look in the eyes of the national master was not much better than that of her. She was about to get up, but she didn't want to. A startling scene happened. Ning Kongji, who used to look as usual, looked at Xue Xue with deep eyes after seeing that all the water in the basin turned into scarlet blood. Xue Xue, who had been standing with her eyebrows closed and her eyes low, was a little guilty about the music on her face. Her hands holding the copper basin were a little unsteady, but she still said obstinately, "I'll tell you the sun. The result has come out. It's good that this girl is a demon." Rather know the complexion of Heavy to come forward, directly grasped her to hold the right hand of copper basin. I saw that there was a palm-sized porcelain bottle hidden in the white fingertip. The contents of the porcelain bottle had been poured out, and I didn't know where to go. The national master's indifferent eyes immediately locked here, and said in a cold voice, "Just now when Lu's test, everyone could see clearly, and no one added anything to it. What do you mean? If you have any personal grievances with Princess Yu, you can solve them in private. Why do you want to bully the king in front of everyone?" Ning knows to have not yet opened a mouth. Xue Xue then snatches to open a mouth the way. The evil spirit and the ordinary person test method are a little different. This again have what strange? The national teacher's indifferent and cold eyes suddenly swept over. She was just a mortal who couldn't do any magic, but she suddenly felt cold in her heart. If so, your master will have made it clear at the very beginning. How do you need to paint the lily and add to the lily? Mo Hanghuaxi knew that this was his last chance. He immediately stepped forward and looked coldly at Ningxi. He asked, "Ningxian master, you and I had some festivals before entering the palace, but it should not have reached the point where you must kill me." This series of changes suddenly caught the people who had just confirmed the result by surprise. Even Empress Lin slowed down for a long time before she adapted to this sudden turn and said, "What's the matter? Please explain it to Master Ning Xian." Lu Qianqian's face was too happy to fade, and now her delicate face could not help sinking. "Empress, Ningxian master has a profound method." Just now the maid said again, "But the method is slightly different. I think there is absolutely no mistake." Lu Qian said happily, but did not notice that Xue Xue Xue, who was called the maid, was annoyed. Lin Xiangyin also stepped forward. She lowered her eyes and said, "Empress mother, behind Ningxian teacher, my son thought there would never be anything wrong." Mo Shanghua's eyes coldly glanced in the past, and the corners of his lips were sarcastic. In this way, the words of the national master are not credible? Lu Qianlin Xiangyin's face was white, choked and speechless. At this time, the national master also stood up and said most justly, "Ning knows that he has a personal grudge with Princess Yu. In my opinion, it's not suitable to measure it in his way. Even if your majesty is here, he will surely give it to others for the sake of fairness. I'm not talented enough to see injustice in my life. I'd like to test it myself. Empress Lin, who had been so roundabout by the national teacher, was a little ugly and silent. The national teacher is right. Never thought. It is clear that the national teacher is a pit of Ning No, but suddenly speak for him. In this way, Empress Lin did not petition to take the method of national teacher, but also to take it. What's more, I'm afraid that she can't go in the direction of Yen Mo Li's explanation. If she angers the national teacher, go to Baorong Emperor and talk nonsense, she'll be in danger. In this way, she can only pretend to be dignified and fair. The national teacher really has a point. If so, she will trouble the national teacher. No matter how much Lu Qianqian and Lin Xiangyin wanted to say, they couldn't get into conflict with Empress Lin, so they held back their words. Shui is still holding the copper basin. The scarlet blood in the copper basin has not faded, even slightly boiling. She was reluctant to look at Ning Tongji, as if she wanted to say something, but she was scared away by Ning Tongji's cold eyes, and didn't dare to speak anymore. The national teacher has stood up, and Shui is ready to get rid of the blood. However, before she moved, the water, which had calmed down, suddenly began to boil violently, and the mist rose up, filling all around her. After the blood in the basin surged and stirred layer upon layer, the dazzling scarlet blood faded at the speed visible to the naked eye, and was gradually covered by a layer of gold, which expanded faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, the original dazzling scarlet blood turned into a basin of golden yellow, even a faint golden liquid. The mist above the copper basin rose gradually, and then slowly formed a strange woman's appearance, which was very vague. Fuzzy to only vaguely see the shape of a woman, surrounded by fairy chi, dazzling, will all see the silly eyes. Even Shui was shocked. He almost couldn't hold the copper basin in his hand and fell to the ground. He simply came forward and held Shui's wrist. The woman's appearance made up of fog gradually dispersed, and the golden liquid in the copper basin faded again at the speed visible to the naked eye, and became colorless and tasteless again. Shui gradually regained her mind. She took a shocked look at the flowers on the street, and then looked at Ning Tongji. Holy Sun, this. Ning Tongji gently shook her head. Shui immediately closed her mouth and backed down holding the copper basin. Empress Lin has been shocked to stand up directly from the phoenix chair, then connect the MO to spend oneself, is also equally shocked. Just now, when the fog gradually changed, she felt very uneasy. She was afraid to change her appearance when she lived in the 21st century, but she didn't want to change it into a vague one. However, what puzzled her even more was that the appearance she had imagined was not the same as her previous life or now, but a woman with the same ancient costume, but slightly taller and thinner than her. Although she couldn't see clearly, she didn't know why. That's how clear she was. But the national teacher was obviously more responsive than her. His indifferent and alienated eyes were as confused and complicated as clouds. He didn't speak for a long time, and he seemed to be deep in thought. When they were all in shock and couldn't speak, Emperor Baorong's voice suddenly rang out. Master Ning Xian, what's the matter? Why is there a sudden anomaly? Is it an ominous omen? All of them were summoned back to God by this voice, and then hurried forward to greet Baorong Emperor, who was already at the door. Baorong Emperor obviously had no time to deal with the crowd. He waved his hand at will, and his eyes were hot and urgent. Ning knew that the bottom of her eyes was a touch of ridicule, but she bent slightly on her face and made a salute. She said, I'm just testing the evil. Princess Yu's blood drops went in, but the result is different from others. After a pause, the light at the bottom of his eyes flickered slightly, but he continued unhurriedly. The vision just now shows the image of Princess Yu's previous life. The princess's life is precious. The previous life was a fairy in heaven, and it must be precious and blessed in the future. Ning Jianji's eyes suddenly fell on Mo Shanghua. She was a little suspicious. When she saw that Mo Shanghua's face was as smooth and beautiful as a shelled egg, her doubts gradually faded away and became convinced. I have been in such a situation, but now I can stand here safely. It seems that what Master Ning Xian said is true. Baorong Emperor nodded slightly and looked at the flowers on the street with some appreciation. The national master didn't open his mouth all the time. He just stood quietly. He looked complicated and seemed to be thinking. Lu Qianqian was the first one to change her face. She couldn't care if Baorong Emperor was not present. She couldn't help but retort. Impossible. No way, she's a monster. Lu Qianqian's eyes were red with hatred, and he pointed at Ning Tongji with one hand. It's clear that he did something and added something in it. It can't be like this. She is a monster. Before the flowers on the street, Lin Xiangyin was startled by Lu Qianqian's appearance. She was pale and didn't dare to speak. Before Yan Moli could come forward to plead guilty, he saw that Emperor Baorong's eyes had sunk. Who dares to be so presumptuous in front of me? Yan Moli hurried forward and pulled Lu Qianqian to kneel down. I'm not in my mind. I've made such a joke here. Please forgive me. Lin Xiangyin also rushed forward, but did not forget to squeeze away Lu Qianqian, kneeling on Yan Moli's side. Ask Father Huang to forgive me. A slander that has been planned for a long time can easily end in the name of a joke. What does His Royal Highness regard as the majesty of his father, Emperor and Empress? Has been in a passive Mo Shanghua, now finally able to breathe, sneer at the opening. Father and Emperor, forgive me. It's all because Lu's family resented 5 younger brothers and sisters. He did it on purpose. His Highness just had to go to the palace together because of his great relationship. At this time, he has nothing to do with His Highness. Please treat it impartially. Lin Xiangyin's mind turned and decided to abandon Lu Qianqian. Seeing this, Empress Lin hurriedly stepped in front of Emperor Baorong and bent over to plead guilty. Report back to Your Majesty. My concubine has just been trying this matter. Now it has come to an end. It's really Lu Qianqian and Aunt Zhang who deliberately framed Princess Yu. My courtiers and concubines, every sentence is true, and there is no partiality. Please give me 10 orders. Empress Lin is sincere and upright, but she has picked Yan Mo clean. Your Majesty. When all the people rushed in front of Baorong Emperor and made Baorong Emperor have a headache, the national master suddenly opened his mouth. This matter can also be regarded as Your Majesty's housework. It's inconvenient for you to stay more, so I'll leave here. Baorong Emperor had some questions about Mo Shanghua. He wanted to ask the national master for confirmation. Seeing the current situation, he had to nod his head. I'd rather know, and I don't know why. I'm an outsider, but I don't have the consciousness to be an outsider, so I stood quietly, like a strong man in charge of the whole situation, watching the farce quietly. What's the matter, Queen? Come and make it clear to me. Emperor Baorong passed all the people kneeling on the ground and sat down in the high position in the hall. Empress Lin responded with a very gentle voice and appointed the maids next to her to come forward and tell the whole story. After hearing the story, Emperor Baorong rubbed his forehead with some headache and asked, This Lu family who slandered Princess Yu is the Lu family in the Prime Minister's house? Mention this matter. Baorong Emperor can't help but think of Yan Moli, and Lu Qianqian made some things subconsciously look at Yan Moli. Yan Moli lowered his head, and his eyes were gloomy. Damn, why on earth did such a mistake happen? In the heart is exasperated again, he still hardens the scalp to come forward. B. Lin Xiangyin didn't want to help Lu Qianqian speak. Empress Lin thought about it, but suddenly came forward. Your Majesty, before she got married, Lu's family had been negligent and crazy. It took her a long time to get better. I don't think it's all her free will today. There must be some reason why she is not clear. I hope Your Majesty will give her a lighter punishment. Lu Qianqian kneels on the ground, his face is in a trance, and his face is like ashes. Even Empress Lin pleads for her without any response. Aunt Zhang heard the words, but she couldn't help crying and seizing Empress Lin's skirt. Empress, all the maidservants were cheated by concubine Lu. Those words are not the original intention of the maidservant. Please forgive the maidservant's life. Please help the maidservant. After listening to the whole story, Emperor Baorong heard Aunt Zhang's so much noise. Even if he gave a direct order, drag the unfaithful Diao Nu down and kill him immediately. As soon as the words fell, 2 imperial guards came in and dragged Aunt Zhang out. Then, Baorong Emperor's eyes turned on Lu Qian's face. He thought for a moment, then said, Lu's rebellious slander the princess, read in his unconsciousness, only stick blame 50. Ling Wang, take it back and discipline it. Princess Ling is not strictly controlled. She should be banned for half a year after she goes back. She can't enter the palace without calling in half a year. The staff in the palace is not used in other places. Not only is the punishment quite heavy, but the 20 staff will make people unable to walk normally. What's more, if a man lifts his clothes and trousers, exposing his waist and abdomen, he can perform the staff's responsibility. If you are a woman, you should also lift the skirt to the waist and abdomen. Although it does not expose the skin and flesh, it is enough to make people lose face and die of shame. Lu Qianqian was like a bolt from the blue. His face, which had been defeated, turned red and white for a long time. His tears came down like a spring. After all, he had to kneel down to thank him. If Baorong Emperor is not there, she may dare to fight for some points for herself, but no one can save her with Baorong Emperor. Lin Xiangyin was also embarrassed. She glared at Lu Qianqian and knelt down to thank him. Yan Moli also followed Xie En. Seeing that the matter is over, Lu Qianqian is about to be taken down to blame. After a long silence, Mo Shanghua suddenly comes forward. I have one more thing to report. Lu Qianqian is a fake, not a real prime minister. The clear voice, like a blow from the blue, burst into Lu Qianqian's ears. Yan Mo's calmness almost broke in the words of Mo Shanghua. He blurted out, 5 younger brothers and sisters, my father and emperor have made a decision. What else do you want to do? Lin Xiangyin also bit her lip and was shocked. Empress Lin was shocked in her eyes, but she passed away in a flash, and then there were waves of uneasiness. If in the past, Emperor Baorong was afraid that he would not pay attention to the flowers on the street. Now after listening to Ning Tongji's words, he was more or less worried about the flowers on the street and said, How do you say that? Mo Shanghua was pushed to the end by Yan Moli and others, but her voice was still clear and calm. Lu Qianqian was actually trained secretly by a Jianghu organization. From childhood to adulthood, the only meaning of her existence was to replace the right prime minister's daughter and control the court situation by controlling the right prime minister. After a pause, she turned to look at Qinya behind her. Qinya followed Mo Shanghua and became a transparent person for a long time. At the moment, she was able to speak and was still calm. She made a salute, and her voice was the same as that of the flowers on the street. Our princess is by no means free to talk, but has real evidence. Please allow the maidservant to come out of the palace now and bring the witness first. Baorong Emperor turned his head and looked at the calm flowers on the street. Then he said, Yes. Qinya nodded and withdrew from the palace. Yan Mo Li's eyes move with Qinya's back in a hurry, and then he takes a silent look at Empress Lin. Empress Lin seemed to see something, as if she didn't see it. She said with her face as usual, Only the witness is afraid that it's not enough to win the trust. It is also fair to say so. Mo Shanghua walked to Lu Qianqian's side and looked at her with clear eyes. As expected, there is a black tattoo on your 3-inch armpit, which represents the sect you belong to in the Jianghu. As for whether it was the Jianghu or Yan Moli's private captive organization, it's not known. Even if it is true, this is not the time to expose it. Lu Qianqian's face turned pale in an instant, and his back was already in a cold sweat. What are you talking about? Although I'm living outside, I'm really innocent. I grew up in a family. How can I have tattoos? Tattoo is not something that ordinary people can do at will in this era. It's something that ordinary people will never have, especially women. Which innocent family dare to marry such a daughter-in-law? Yan Moli also came forward at this time and frowned. How can we check this kind of thing? You deliberately say the position under the armpit is not to destroy people's innocence. Mo Shanghua Mao lightly swept past. The Mao inside tiny contained satire meaning. Is already want to line the person of battle punishment, where still want what face? This success made Lu Qianqian's face turn red and white, his body trembled slightly, and his tears just fell down. If you really do this, do you want me to die? Princess you are so cruel. Didn't you just want me to die? Mo Shanghua's original gentle voice suddenly became cold, as if immersed in the ice, cold to the bone. Lu Qian's body trembled, but he couldn't say a word. Seeing this, Empress Lin simply stood up and said, "It's really out of time to check in public. In this way, I'll ask my concubine to take Lu's family to the side hall first, and ask my aunt in the palace to check together. It's safe." Lu Qianqian was a little relieved, but without the consent of Baorong Emperor, she went forward to thank him. "My maid and concubine are innocent, and there is no fraud. I'm willing to go to be checked. Thank you for your kindness." The Empress is kind-hearted. She's afraid that if she leaves her father's sight, someone will do something secretly. The fairest way is to set up a screen in the hall, and then let Lu stand behind the screen for inspection. In this way, people can only see its shape, and it is also fair, not afraid of being manipulated. Lu Qian glared at a pair of red eyes and said in a sharp voice, "Don't deceive people too much." Mo Shanghua didn't look at her either. She stood with her eyebrows and low eyes and said, "Please allow me." When Emperor Baorong thought about it, he nodded. Even Yen Moli, who wanted to speak, had no chance to answer. Yen Moli was also very anxious at the moment. Fortunately, he was still calm. Knowing that he shouldn't say more at this time, he simply looked at the fire from the other side. If it really burned him, it would be more appropriate for him to explain. Otherwise, with Baorong Emperor's character, he would be suspicious again. Now that he has lost half of his sacred heart, he must not make any more mistakes. Lin Xiangyin has just been implicated by Lu Qianqian and punished by Emperor Baorong. Now it's time to see the play. She is very relieved. As for whether Lu Qian would give up what she did today when she was at a dead end, she didn't think about it at all. With Emperor Baorong's permission, Empress Lin had to give orders. The eunuch maids were very sharp, but after a while they moved a carved screen to a corner of the palace, and many people in the palace retreated and turned to the door to guard. Lu Qianqian, under the guidance of a palace maid, walks in slowly. The sweat on her back almost soaks her clothes. What makes her despair is that Mo Shanghua, who should have been waiting for the result outside the hall, even asked for permission to follow in. She didn't do anything. She just stood quietly and stared at Lu Qianqian. Then she let Lu Qianqian stab her like an on. She couldn't help the pain. Mo Shanghua, what do you want? The maid-in-waiting is helping Lu Qianqian undress, but she can't help it and lowers her voice. Mo Shanghua's face is indifferent, and her black and white eyes have already recovered calm, which is the most hated appearance of Lu Qianqian. With the gradual peeling off of clothes, Lu Qianqian is not in the mood to fight with Mo Shanghua. Her palms, including her forehead, are out of control and begin to sweat. Why are you sweating so much? Originally look high cold, don't talk with Lu Qianqian on the floor, but at this time not light, not heavy open mouth. The heavy people's eyes outside the screen have been gathered here. The voice of the flowers on the street, which is not deliberately suppressed, naturally spreads to everyone's ears clearly. Everyone looks different. Lu Qianqi not, simply closed his eyes, 10 fingers tightly caged together. A burst of coolness hit the body. Lu Qian with the palace maid raised his arm. Let the palace maid check. The skin under her armpit is extremely smooth, white and greasy, without any tattoos or scars. After seeing it, the maid-in-waiting turned her head and looked strangely at me. The flower on the street saw this, slightly approached a few steps. The light inch by inch swept from the skin under Lu Qianqian's armpit. Lu Qianqian suddenly opened his eyes, subconsciously shrunk his body, full of vigilance. Flowers on the street, what else do you want to do? Mo Shanghua doesn't open her mouth. Suddenly, her body is like a bolt of lightning. She approaches quickly. Su Shou grabs her skin under her armpit. In the next second, Mo Shanghua's hand is already covered with an extremely thin human skin with the same color as her skin. The maid-in-waiting was startled. She looked under Lu Qianqian's armpit and saw that her skin was smooth and white, and she had a black tattoo. Why is it that the surrounding skin is slightly red? And there is a clear trace at the transition between the surrounding white and tender skin, just like a sharp dividing line. Lu Qian subconsciously looked down, and then put on clothes. Pale face fell to the ground. Mo Shanghua throws the human skin into the hands of the maid of honor. A pair of beautiful eyes are not angry and self-willed. Don't you report it? The maid in waiting with a stiff face went out to report. Mo Shanghua steps to Lu Qianqian and looks down at Lu Qianqian kneeling on the ground. The ridicule at the bottom of his eyes turns into substance. When you replaced my identity, did you ever think that there would be today? Lu Qianqian bites her lower lip, and her pale face is in despair. The words of flowers on the street make her hate and resent. She wants to know her with a sword, but she has no energy at this time. Take her to the palace. The flower on the street gathered a smile from the corner of her lips, got up and gave orders without expression. Immediately, there were two other mothers who set up Lu Qianqian, who was paralyzed on the ground, and appeared in front of the crowd together. People in the hall look very different, especially Empress Lin and Yan Mo Li's mother and son. Their faces were a little strange to the human skin presented by the palace maids. Baorong Emperor's face sank directly, and he said in a cold voice, I really didn't expect that this kind of thing could happen under my eyes. Check it out, you must check it out for me. Especially the tattoo pattern. I want to know what it means. I'm asking the Prime Minister to come. Empress Lin took a stiff look at Yan Mo at the bottom, pinched her sleeve and said, The Emperor is happy and angry. Just relying on a tattoo, I'm afraid it doesn't mean anything. Maybe she met a robber at that time, and went into exile for a while. After all, the people are no more difficult than the imperial palace. Baorong Emperor's face was even darker, and he snorted. Do you mean that if I don't govern strictly, the people will be in chaos and the world will be difficult? I don't mean that. Please forgive me. Empress Lin's face changed greatly. She got down from the phoenix chair, and knelt down in front of Baorong Emperor. Yan Moli, as a filial son, also hastened to intercede. Mother, is not this meaning? Please, Father Emperor, forgive me. Get up. Baorong Emperor's face didn't get better, but he thought about Empress Lin's face. Empress Lin got up in shock and thought more carefully. Paralyzed in the next head of Lu Qianqian heart, but suddenly had countermeasures. Just, Mo Shanghua did not give her the opportunity to speak. Father. Mo Shanghua stepped forward with a calm face and said, My son's maid has been gone for a long time, but she hasn't come back. I'm afraid that she will be framed. Please send someone to check it. Baorong Emperor's face became more and more gloomy, and Yan Mo's eyes flashed lightly. Somebody. Emperor Baorong spoke in a deep voice. Before he had time to appoint someone from the palace came in to report back. Qinya brought a woman back. Emperor Baorong nodded, and Qinya Kai came in with a woman. Lu Qian fixed her eyes and saw that the woman should have died a long time ago. It's over. It's all over. Lu Qian completely despaired down in the heart. However, there was still some hope in her heart, and her eyes could not help but sneak to Yan Mo Li's eye. Don't want to. Yan Mo Li has completely abandoned her. The Mao light is cold and hard, the icy gaze ahead. Your Highness, can you help me? Lu Qianqian sat on the ground, his heart filled with despair. The sight of the flower on the street falls on Qinya, and a touch of cold suddenly flashed in her calm eyes. Qinya, who was still well dressed before leaving, had encountered something. Her hair was scattered and her skirt was damaged in 2 places, like by a sword. Why do you look like this? Mo Shanghua takes 2 steps forward and drags Qinya's sleeve to check carefully. He sees that there is no scar. Qinya shook the hand of Mo Shanghua, deliberately raised her voice and said, If you go back to the princess, I don't know who I've offended. After I left the palace, I was chased and killed. Fortunately, when people from National Normal University came out of the palace, I survived. Father, I think some people are guilty. If they want to kill me, they will kill my maid. Mo Shanghua's quiet eyes looked at Yan Moli, who was standing on one side. I don't know whether it was to Baorong Emperor or Yan Moli. Don't worry, I will make a strict investigation. What happened at the foot of the world was tantamount to challenging Emperor Baorong's authority in public. He was naturally angry. It's better to let the children's ministers check. Emperor Baorong's voice just fell, but Yan Beiqing, who had never appeared, did not know when he entered the hall and asked for his life. Yan Mo's face suddenly became stiff, and his hand slightly tightened. This matter is in Mo Shanghua's expectation. She naturally has no response. Eyes closely watching Yan Moli, inch by inch scanning the expression changes on his face. The stiffness and tension came straight into her eyes. Baorong Emperor's attention was still on Yan Beicheng. Seeing that he looked very bad, he thought about it and said, "This matter has a deep relationship with your princess. You'd better avoid suspicion. I'll check it later." Yan Moli did not relax, and his eyes were fixed on Yan Beicheng. If Yan Beicheng insists, with his words, I'm afraid he doesn't have the power to fight. Fortunately, Yan Beicheng didn't seem to have any plans to offend Emperor Baorong for this. He responded angrily and retreated to Yan Moli's side position. Mo Shanghua took back her sight, stepped forward 2 steps and said, "Father, let's introduce the girl Qinya brought." After a pause, she glanced at Lu Qian's pale face and said, "This woman must know Miss Lu after all, she is Miss Lu's maid." Lu Qianqian's eyes had a focal length, and he said in a hate voice, "Charming Jade has died long ago. She is not Charming Jade. Don't try to frame me." Mo Shanghua directly ignores her words, and turns her eyes to the Charming Jade standing on one side. She bowed her head and knelt down a little timidly. "I used to be the maid who was waiting for Miss Lu. I've been with Miss Lu for half a year." Lu Qianqian refuses to admit it. The flower on the street smiles and says, "Charming Jade used to go into the palace with Miss Lu. The Empress must be familiar with her. If you don't believe it, you can go to Prime Minister Lu's house and get her deed of sale." Some words said. Even Queen Lin had to nod under the gaze of the people. When she saw this, she told her story and exposed the real Lu Qianqian in front of everyone. The young lady was very kind to her maidservant, and she was very considerate and gentle in front of everyone. She would not turn her face when she was angry outside, but she abused and humiliated her in private, so that when the master wanted to kill me later, he would not help her. If it had not been for Princess Yu, she would have lost her life now. Said, Charming Jade tears face of his sleeve. A pair of jade arm is full of scars. There is no good place. The flower on the street sneered and satirized. This is the gentle, kind and understanding Miss Lu in people's eyes. Lu Qian's face was pale and could not say anything to refute. She knelt down on the ground and continued. In addition, when I was waiting on her, I found that the girl's private behavior was very strange. She always disappeared after hearing the cuckoo's call. I found it many times, but I never dared to make it public. After a pause, she continued. I almost lost my life because the young lady disappeared again after she came back from the palace last time. I was beaten by the master and almost lost my life. At that time, the maidservant did not dare to disclose this until she died. The young lady thought that she was planning to kill her and refused to rescue her. The tears on her face and the accusations are especially touching, and the people present are not moved. Qinya couldn't bear to look at her heart and handed her handkerchief to her for her tears. Mo Shanghua stepped forward and said sharply, Father, from this we can see that Miss Lu in front of us must be a fake, and there must be a secret behind her. Lu Qianqian heart hate, can't help looking at Yan Emoli. Yan Emoli is still just now that pair of immobile as a mountain of appearance. See Lu Qianqian a heart completely cooled down. No, she's not hopeless. And Lu Bohan, that old man will surely save her. She just needs to procrastinate, and she will be able to gain life. Thinking about this, Lu Qianqian raised her spirits and said with a pale face, These can at most show that I have secrets, but they can't prove that my identity is false. Don't forget, I'm a real prime minister. I'm the daughter of right Prime Minister Lu Bohan. Thinking about it like this, Lu Qianqian's despairing heart gradually gave birth to some hope, and his eyes gradually became firm and firm. She is full of fighting spirit, but is she the one who plays cards according to common sense? Oh, so what's your secret? Mo Shanghua's eyes are quiet and deep. They are looking at Lu Qianqian. The color of their eyes is calm and they are full of murders. What's the secret? What's the secret that can make a young lady tattooed? What's the secret that can make people sneak out of the Prime Minister's residence? Oh, by the way, the Prime Minister's hands are very strict. It's not easy to get in and out without knowing. Miss Lu still has martial arts skills? Lu Qianqian suppressed the panic in his heart, sneered and said, I've been living among the people since I was a child. In order to survive, it's very difficult for me. I will do this just to survive. Oh, Mo Shanghua answered casually, and the front of the story suddenly changed. No matter how many explanations are not as effective as direct proof. My father, emperor and children's ministers implore that after Lu Xiang comes, they will recognize each other again. At that time, everything will come to light. Yan Mo put up with it again and again. After all, he came forward and said, Father, I'm afraid that the matter of bloodletting to recognize one's relatives belongs to the Prime Minister's family affairs. If I interfere with it by force, I'm afraid it's not good. Yan Beiqing didn't give Yan Mo any face. When he saw this, he immediately stepped forward and said, What's the matter with this woman? Yan Mo Lia choke. The mouth inside almost spurts out fire light. Yan Beiqing's face is thick and his heart is dark. He just doesn't know. He slowly presents himself to Emperor Baorong. Father, if the result is different from the previous one, then the previous thing must be thoroughly investigated. Maybe there is some amazing conspiracy behind it, because it's possible. Yan Beiqing's words successfully changed Baorong Emperor's attitude. His originally slightly angry face suddenly became dignified, as you said. Yan Mo's eyes flashed. For the first time in his life, he felt so nervous and flustered in his heart that he pursed his lips tightly. Lin Empress also subconsciously pinched the phoenix chair armrest. The eye inside reveals a few minutes nervous. If this matter is really found out, everything will be over. No, absolutely not. She has trained Lear for so many years. She can't be destroyed at this time. When necessary, there must be a scapegoat. Think of here, Empress Lin and the heart slightly settle. See Lu Qianqian's vision inside tiny contained to kill intention. Yan Moli's plea just calms Lu Qianqian's resentment a little. And the words of Mo Shanghua and his wife almost send her to hell. Mo Shanghua, what do you want? Lu Qianqian's eyes are red, looking at the flowers on the street, and her eyes are full of hate. The ruddy lip petals of the flowers on the street gently stirred up and gave a smile. Miss Lu, don't you forget who the former Prime Minister was? A short sentence, but also successfully awakened the memory of the public. The behavior of the flowers on the street was also a bit more understanding. Yes, Misty used to be a stranger. If Lu Qianqian hadn't come down from the sky, I'm afraid she would still be pampered by the Prime Minister's office now. She doesn't have to go to the cold land of Yuzhou. Lu Bohan came to the palace with different thoughts. He walked in a hurry, with a dignified face, but he was not in a panic. Long live your majesty, long live your majesty. Baorong Emperor nodded slightly and looked at Lu Wing beside him. Lu Wing immediately stepped forward and said with a smile, I think your majesty already knows the whole story. Your majesty has already ordered people to prepare the instruments for blood test. Please, your honor. Lu Bohan frowned slightly, and looked at Lu Qianqian kneeling on the ground. If as usual, Lu Qianqian was afraid that he would have complained to his father with tears on his face, but he was silent today. It seems that things are different from what he imagined. After all, it's my daughter. Lu Bohan glanced at the flowers on the street again, then went forward and said, Your Majesty. Needless to say, I just want to see the result now. Baorong Emperor rubbed his eyebrows and his face was tired. Lu Bohan has been with Emperor Baorong for many years. How can he not know the purpose of Emperor Baorong's appearance? It seems that we can only follow the meaning of Emperor Baorong first. From the beginning to the end, the flowers did not take the initiative to open their mouth. Lu Bohan's eyes were calm, like a stranger. Yan Moli, but feel distressed, quietly moved to her side, silently took her hand. Soon a eunuch came forward with a bowl of water and 2 silver needles on the tray. Lu Bohan didn't dare to hesitate. He took a silver needle to stab his finger and squeezed a drop of fresh blood into the bowl. Then his eyes fell on Lu Qianqian. Lu Qianqian was Lu Bohan, such a look, eyes gently flash, clenched lip, step by step moved to the eunuch with tray in front. The cold silver needle was in her hand, but she couldn't get it down. Qianqian. Lu Bohan's heart beat hard. He was quite confident about it, but he suddenly felt something different and couldn't help reminding him. Lu Qianqian bit his lip and finally pierced his fingers. They all craned their necks and looked over. Lu Wang also stood by Baorong Emperor's order and watched carefully. The bright red blood drops into the clear water in the bowl, and the blood color in the bowl falls in the same direction. The two smears of blood were about to blend together, but they didn't think about it. After a long entanglement, they still couldn't merge and occupied a corner of the bowl. Lu Qianqian's lips spit out blood, and the last trace of blood in her eyes disappeared. Yan Moli's fingers almost broke, and his eyes changed greatly. Empress Lin's eyes were cold, and she said without hesitation, "Your Majesty, now the evidence is solid. I will never be soft-hearted because this woman married Li Heir. Please treat it justly." Lu Bohan is full of disbelief. "Your Majesty, when I recognized Qianqian, I also had blood test. At that time, Qianqian was my daughter. How could such a great change happen suddenly? I'm afraid there's something strange about it. This woman's behavior is strange and cruel. Besides, I personally ordered people to prepare the water. There's no possibility of any mistake. The Prime Minister doesn't have to say anything about it." Baorong Emperor raised his hand and gave Lu Bohan a dignified glance. Lu Bohan still couldn't believe it, and the calm and self-confidence that he had been immersed in officialdom for many years also disappeared. "No, it's impossible. If Qianqian is not my daughter, where is my daughter? It will never be." Lu Qianqian gave a sad smile, turned his eyes and took a deep look at Yan Moli. Then he went up to his knees and said, "I'm not Lu Bohan's daughter, I'm just a humble civilian. This tattoo on my body is suspicious because I'm from the Jianghu. I'm pretending to be the daughter of the Prime Minister's office just to enjoy my wealth. It's ridiculous that although I succeeded at this point, I still couldn't get rid of the world completely, otherwise I would not show any flaws." At the moment, Lu Qianqian is surprisingly calm. Mo Shanghua sneered, and she guessed her intention clearly. She said immediately, "Are you trying to cover up for someone when you are so eager to admit your guilt?" Lu Bohan was a little annoyed and said in a deep voice, "Why is the princess so eager to be convicted?" "Don't wait for the flowers to bloom on the street." Yan Beiqing retorts impolitely, "Shouldn't Lu Xiang care where his real daughter is?" Lu Bohan choked when he was asked and his face turned pale. "That's why I dare to ask more questions." Yan Beiqing didn't know that the person in front of him was the Prime Minister, who occupied a great position in the court, and his words became more and more sharp. "Lu Xiang's words are not so good. This kind of thing has to be examined by the Ministry of Punishment. If Lu Xiang wants to know, he just needs to wait for the result. What's more, shouldn't Lu Xiang care about his crime of bullying the king now?" Lu Qianqian pretends to be Lu Bohan's daughter. He is supposed to be the victim, but although he is concealed, he also tells the world, and takes Lu Qianqian to the palace in the name of his daughter many times. Now that Lu Qianqian's identity has been exposed, he is naturally involved. Even if you don't cheat your monarch, you will be ridiculed for your reputation of being old-fashioned and confused. In the heart of Yan Beiqing's attitude is angry again. Lu Bohan still had to kneel down. "Your Majesty, I'm guilty." How could Emperor Baorong really punish Lu Bohan for this? Holding a shelf, he said slowly, "Lu Xiang was forced by others. I won't investigate. You get up first." "Thank you, Emperor." Lu Bohan said thanks, but he didn't get up. He looked at Baorong Emperor sincerely. "My beloved daughter, who has been cherishing for a year, suddenly suffered such an accident. It's hard to accept in my heart for a moment. Please allow me to ask her a few words." "Sure." Baorong Emperor waved his hand and had no objection. Lu Bohan looks at Lu Qianqian kneeling on the ground with complicated complexion, and his eyes stay on her delicate and soft cheek. As like as two peas in the face of the young woman. How could it be wrong? Lu Bohan forced to resist the surging emotion in his heart and asked in a low voice, "Are you really a fake? But your looks and temperament are so much like her." In fact, Lu Qianqian doesn't like Lu Bohan in front of him. Seeing him ask this question at the moment, his answer is even more unfeeling. "Adults don't need to ask any more. I'm really a fake." After a pause, she raised her hand and stroked her soft cheek. "As for this appearance, if it's not for this condition, How dare I take risks? Lu Bohan's complexion split in an instant. Only his face was blue and angry, and his father's anxiety. What about my real daughter? In a word, his eyes turned uncontrollably to the flower's face. The flower on the street turns her head coldly, and doesn't intend to pay attention to it. Your daughter. Lu Qianqian's resentment at the bottom of her eyes almost condensed into essence, and her face gradually went crazy. She's not your daughter. Your real daughter has already died. You can't find her in this life. Ha 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 ha. The more Lu Qianqian said, the more excited she was. At the end of the day, she was as mad as a madman. She sat on the ground laughing regardless of her image. Empress Lin's eyebrows beat. She had a long night's dream. She even said, "What are you doing? You don't want to pull this madwoman down and put her in the prison." Fortunately, Emperor Baorong didn't get upset. He rubbed his eyebrows and stood up. Master Ningxian, follow me to Yangxin Hall, and the rest will be handed over to the Queen. I will ask someone to tell you later who will thoroughly investigate this matter. To your Majesty. All the people got up to salute. Only Ning knew one person. Walking leisurely and slowly behind Baorong Emperor, not smiling, the corners of his lips also contained a third smile. Before leaving the hall, he turned back and took a deep look at the flowers on the street. The flowers on the street were in the mist at his glance, and he was particularly confused. Yan Beiqing put the scene into his eyes, slightly clenched the hand of Mo Shanghua, and his eyes were a little dark. Lu Qianqian was dragged out, but Lu Bohan hasn't recovered from the recent accident. For a long time, he turned his head and looked at the flowers in the street. The Prime Minister sees what I do. Lu Qianqian just now. No, she doesn't deserve to be called Lu Qianqian now. But she said, your own daughter has died long ago, and I'm not your daughter. Let Lu Bohan what expression emotion, Mo Shanghua, face no waves, face no expression. The real Lu Qianqian has long died under Lu Bohan's distrust, and in the cold right Prime Minister's house. Today she, Mo Shanghua. Everything is to revenge for Lu Qianqian, and will not have too much involvement with Lu Bohan. It is the body of his own father, his own mother cannot. Lu Bohan heard the speech. The blue veins on his face jumped and retorted angrily. Don't treat me as if I don't know. What she said is only the scene kung fu, and the truth may not be the case. Lu Xiang, I'm really curious now. How much love do you have for your daughter? How true and how false is it? His own daughter was framed and robbed of her identity. As his own father, he didn't care where his real daughter was going, but here he argued with her, who might be his own daughter. It's ridiculous. Lu Bohan seems to be stung by the words of flowers on the street. He looks at the eyebrows and eyes of flowers on the street, and his heart rises out of control with some fear, and even regret. For a time, I couldn't speak anymore, and the look of flowers on the street was very complicated. To be honest, Mo Shanghua is not totally different from her mother. As like as two peas in her eyes, is exactly alike to her mother. She has never experienced a bad temper before, and is also a gentle and kindly daughter. And Lu Qianqian, although everything looks like this, it's just the appearance she pretends. Now it seems that the current affairs of Mo Shanghua are all framed. But Lu Bohan fell out with Mo Shanghua before. How can he pull down this old face? Yan Beiqing, standing beside the flower on the street, seemed to see through Lu Bohan's mind. With a sneer he said, who was the Prime Minister's wife killed in those years? I will tell my father and emperor, thoroughly investigate what happened in those years, and return the princess's innocence. The idea in the heart is suddenly exposed. Lu Bohan's old face is slightly hot. Unexpectedly surprisingly approved Yan Beiqing's words. His mind is very clear. Lu Qianqian has been useless, but Mo Shanghua is still the flourishing princess you. If you can return Mo Shanghua's innocence, I'm not betraying Mo Shanghua's mother when I recognize her daughter, and I won't continue to be so stiff. After all, he has no children. If he is old this year, only his daughter can find some convenience for him. If at this time the Mo Shanghua knows Lu Bohan's inner thoughts, I'm afraid that she will turn over on the spot and break the last trace of family affection. Unfortunately, Mo Shanghua didn't know what he was thinking. Now she has been Yan Beiqing regardless of the eyes of the people holding hands to carry away. However, at the moment, people don't have too much energy to pay attention to whether the rumors about discord between their husband and wife are true or false. Empress Lin is also very tired after experiencing this. She tells Yenmoli that she will go to the side hall later, and then go there first. In such a big main hall, there were only two Yenmoli and his wife left for a while. Although Lin Xiangyin was very happy about Lu Qianqian's sudden arrest, she changed her face immediately. For one thing, Lu Qianqian's identity has been torn down, and she is no longer the daughter of an official. If she is punished, what will happen if she reveals her cooperation? Second, even if Lin Xiangyin's identity has been torn down, she is still the concubine of Ling Palace. They can't leave Ling Palace anyway. Thinking of this, Lin Xiangyin was worried and frowned. Watch Lord, what should we do now? This slut is going to implicate us. Yenmoli, who was quite considerate to her in the past, now frowned and looked gloomy. Smell speech. Even don't look at her, only coldly drop a sentence. You don't have to care about anything, now go back to the palace to ban foot, sincerely repent. After that he walked away. Cousin. Lin Xiangyin couldn't express her grievance in her heart, and her eyes were filled with tears. Unfortunately, Yan Mo didn't look back. In a twinkling of an eye, he came out of the hall. Lin Xiangyin was the only one standing in the hall, quite at a loss. In the side hall of Cunning Palace, Empress Lin retreated from the public and discussed with Yenmoli alone. Today's event has completely exceeded Empress Lin's expectation. Now that there is no one else, her anger can no longer be controlled. A teacup was swept to the ground by her bang. The tea splashed and the broken porcelain pieces fell all over the floor. Yenmoli seemed to have been used to Empress Lin's temperament. He stepped back a little, lowered his eyes to cover the gloom in his eyes, and said in a warm voice, "Mother, stop being angry, don't hurt yourself. As the queen's adopted son, he can't be willful like his parents. He must be obedient." The anger on Empress Lin's face was not relieved by Yenmoli's consolation. She yelled, "What's the matter with you? I can't take care of things in the inner house, which makes things so difficult to cover up." Empress Lin was sitting on the throne, a mature face with lingering charm, full of anger. "It's just that our palace lost face because of this, but you didn't even keep Lu Qianqian's real identity, and let Mo Shanghua expose it. What if we had a thorough investigation of that year's affairs and implicated you? Stupid. It's really stupid. I've taught you nothing for so many years." Yen Emoli hangs down the hand of the body side can't help slowly tightening. The low eyes are full of intolerable fire. That's how he came over all these years. But for a moment, he became emperor one day, and Empress Lin never dared to look down upon him like that. Yen Emoli's mind was full of twists and turns. He still endured and knelt down. "My son is incompetent. Please take her body seriously and let it go for a while." Yenmoli was so gentle that Empress Lin couldn't vent her anger. Her face softened slightly, but she didn't let him get up. "Things have come to this stage. Tell me what you think now." Empress Lin didn't say Yenmoli, so she went on kneeling. She couldn't hear any resentment in her voice. "My son's minister has already made a response. After I went back, I immediately stopped Lu Qianqian. She took the initiative to make a thorough investigation of the events of that year, and gave an account to both Lu Xiang and his son. What Yenmoli wants to marry is Lu Xiang's daughter. Now this daughter has become a fake, so he can be regarded as a victim." Thinking of this, Yenmoli was a little calm in his heart. To avoid the suspicion of his father, Urchin would recommend a smooth and neutral person to thoroughly investigate what happened in that year, and the people from Yuzhou would make them do more. See Yen Emoli conditioning so clear, Empress Lin slightly gratified nodded. "Never foot chaos, can also arrange things in good order, not in vain this palace to educate you. It's a good mother's upbringing." Yen Emoli asteringed his eyebrows and couldn't see the look in his eyes. Empress Lin stood up and helped Yen Emo up in person. "I'll let your grandfather's family cover up for you. You must deal with this matter without leaking. You can't leave any flaws." Yan Beiqing nodded. "Very clever. Please rest assured." Empress Lin's eyes softened, and even her voice returned to its former gentleness. Lier, I have never had a child in my life. I only have a son like you. I only hope you will become a great treasure in the future. At that time, my mother and empress will all depend on you. Yen Mo Li bottom quickly schemes a touch of ridicule. The face is still obedient. The mother to the Sun Minister's upbringing grace, Sun Minister never forget. Mo Shanghua and Yen Beiqing were going to leave the palace, but before they left the palace gate, they saw Xue Xue standing beside the palace gate with a box. As soon as he saw the flowers coming, Xue Xue covered her face and came up with a box. Princess Yu. She directly glanced over Yen Beiqing and looked at the flowers on the street. She didn't get up to salute. Mo Shang flower cold mouth swept one eye Xue Xue, voice slightly cold. Xue girl why so? If changed to do in the past, only afraid Xue Xuedong even if can't control, want to have a big quarrel with Mo Shanghua. Today but surprisingly patience down. The sun entrusted me to give it to the princess. Xue Xue's expressionless mouth will rather know the words of a word does not leak the report. The sun also asked the princess back to the house after the line check. However, the box has not yet been sent to the hand of Mo Shanghua. It was cut down by Yen Beiqing. Yen Beiqing took the box in one hand and pulled it up with a smile on his lips. Miss Xue, if Shengzi has any intention to say it directly to his face, what is it to always send things like this? What your son sent last time made the princess unconscious. You'd better take it back. Then he threw the box back to Xue Xue. Xue Xue quickly took the box, for fear that it might be broken. His delicate face was slightly angry. Your Highness, you just don't accept it. What do you mean by such a waste? Yen North City vision suddenly cooled down, such as coagulation, a layer of frost in general. Is what you see. Finish saying, then take the slender waist of the flower on the road, lift a step to leave. Xue Xue has a pretty face and is very angry. All the boxes in the water almost fall out. Mo Shanghua looks back at Xue Xue, who is furious behind her. Her beautiful eyes are full of surprise. When they got into the carriage and left the palace, she couldn't help saying, "Why do you make such a show today?" In person Vanguard Meng Baila does not say, in front of Xue Xue also does not hide. Is everywhere in the palace. It is only half an hour's fear. It will be sent to the Empress of the Forest, and the ears of various princes. Yen Beiqing pulled Mo Shanghua into his arms and said, "If I don't show up gradually, I'm afraid I won't be able to gain a firm foothold in the court, and I have no reason to stay in the imperial city." After a pause he looked sideways, and the warm breath of his mouth was sprayed on the mellow and white earlobe of the flower. "It's naturally because of you." The feeling makes the flower shrink, and the earlobe turns red slightly. Yen Beiqing didn't allow her to escape. She put her forehead on the flower's hair, and her voice suddenly dropped. "I see you lonely today, and I feel very sad. Or in the future, I won't let you suffer this humiliation." Mo Shanghua's cool eyebrows and eyes burst into a smile, raised his hand and touched Yen Beiqing's smooth cheek. "It's such a feeling to be protected." With a low smile, Yen Beiqing held her soft hand in his palm. "Is it very comfortable and happy?" Mo Shanghua took his hand back, especially his duplicity. "I feel like a useless person, not happy at all." Hard mouth. Yen Beiqing snorted a little discontentedly, and pulled Mo Shanghua back to his arms. "I'm afraid the next thing is the battle of the court. You'll have a good rest recently, and I'll take care of everything." Mo Shanghua found a comfortable place to lean against in Yen Beiqing's arms and gently answered, "You just do what you want. I won't drag you back. It's just that you should pay more attention to yourself and deal with your identity as a national teacher. Otherwise you will not be able to end up in the future. At present, it seems that the national teacher's identity can bring a lot of convenience to Mo Shanghua. But if Yen Beiqing really succeeds in the future, this level of identity will inevitably become a nuisance." Yen Beiqing had his own thoughts in his heart, so he only answered lazily. At the moment, the most important thing for him is the warm fragrant nephrite in his arms. "I want to see Lu Qianqian." Mo Shanghua leans in Yen Beiqing's arms and suddenly opens his mouth. Yen Beiqing was not surprised. His voice was still lazy. "It's up to you. I'll help you. Just go." He always knew himself so well. In Emo Shanghua's heart, Microsoft, the whole person is relaxing in Yan Beiqing's arms. Yan Beiqing's powerful heartbeat makes her feel at ease. Emo Shanghua sighed in her heart and could not help but whisper, "When everything is over, let's find a place to live a plain and peaceful life." This kind of thought, if changed to do ordinary, she certainly can't, but today, she also don't know exactly as how. To this kind of life incomparably yearn for. I just want to grow old with Yanbei City. But as soon as she said that, she regretted it. Yan Beiqing has so many things on his back. If he is really successful, he will be in the position of the 9th five-year plan. Power fascinates the eye. When the time comes, how he is willing to leave everything behind. Think of here, the smile of Emo Shanghua's lips is light, sit straight body. Unexpectedly, just left the chest of Yanbei City. He was pulled back by Yanbei City and forced to press on his chest. Overhead came the voice of the man, slightly annoyed. "When did I say I didn't want to? How could you be so anxious to make a conclusion?" It seems that something suddenly exploded in the air, full of joy. "What do you mean?" In the eyes of a pair of deep well-like secluded flowers on the street, suddenly she could not imagine the color of surprise. Yan Beiqing looked down at Emo Shanghua, and ran into Emo Shanghua's eyes full of surprise. He couldn't help but hold her cheek and kiss her on the forehead. Emo Shanghua also can't care about shyness. 2 hands embrace Yan Beiqing's neck. "What do you just mean?" It's rare to see the appearance of Emo Shanghua. Yan Beiqing intended to tease him, so he deliberately changed the topic and teased him. "I think Lu Xiang will regret after today's event, and 8 sedan chairs will come to recognize you and go back." Emo Flower smells speech. Can't help but live in his waist twist today, cold eyes swept in the past. Wrong. Yan Beiqing quickly begged for mercy. He took the flowers in the street without face and said, "I've been fighting for so many years. I'm tired of it. When everything is settled, I'll be a rich businessman, make money to support you and take you around." Thinking of this scene, Yan Beiqing could not help but gently raised his lips. His eyes and brows were full of joy and expectation. "Isn't it beautiful to live like this?" The flowers on the street smell the words. The corners of the lips are not raised high, almost to the root of the ear. "As you say." She leaned against Yan Beiqing's chest like a copper wall, and opened her mouth gently. Yan North City, also hard to hide the joy in the heart, tightly embraced the flowers on the road. Emo Shanghua went to see Lu Qianqian, who is now in Tianlao at night. At that time, Lu Qianqian, who belonged to the imperial concubine of Ling, was stripped of all her luxurious clothes and jewelry. She had no hairpin on her hair, and was sitting in a corner of the prison in her dirty clothes. The internal organs of the dungeon are in chaos, and Lu Qianqian is white. "Your hands are dirty." Such dirty hands, but holding a clean letter. She seemed to be very considerate of the letter. She only pinched a corner in her hands for fear that she might contaminate it. The sound of opening the cell door and stepping on the withered grass did not arouse Lu Qianqian's mind. She was still sitting in the same place. Emo Shanghua stands in front of Lu Qianqian and looks down at her. With a sweep of her eyes, she puts 2 extremely obvious words "xiushu" in her hand. This smelly girl's life is cheap. As soon as she came in, someone sent a letter of divorce from King Ling's mansion. I don't think it's possible to turn over in the future. The princess saw it and came out earlier so as not to be affected by bad luck. The prison head scolded at one side and went out first. I don't know if it's the prison's words that stimulate Lu Qianqian, and her lips even evoke a smile of self-mockery. No ridicule. Emo Shanghua only looked at Lu Qianqian, abruptly asked, "Do you love him so much?" "Love?" Lu Qianqian squeezed the letter in his hand, and tears filled his eyes. "Yes, I love him, you can't imagine. I've given my whole heart to him since he pulled me out of such a dirty and dark place." She is prone to tears in front of people. Only this time is sincere, especially painful. Lu Qianqian's face was full of tears, but he continued. In order not to accept Lu Bohan's arrangement and stand in the same position as him, I don't hesitate to let myself be disgraced. I don't hesitate to let him dislike and marry him. He even took all the charges himself. but in the end he waited for a letter of divorce. Looking at her eyes full of grief and despair, Mo Xianghua cannot help but silence down. Not because of her downfall and happy, there is no sympathy. For a long time, Mo Xianghua just light mouth. Lu Qianqian has been unwilling to admit the reality of bloody in front of her. Maybe more terrible ending. Lu Qianqian did not have the slightest reaction. A pair of eyes full of silence, think to come to her own early psychological preparation. Although the people in front of us are poor now, the things we have done in the past cannot be smoothed out. Mo Xianghua didn't have the slightest waves in her heart. She confidently said, "You can't live tonight. Yan Moli will kill you." Lu Qianqian pulled the corner of his lips, and his eyes were full of self-mockery. "I've thought of that for a long time. As long as I die, everything will have to settle down, and you can't get what you want." After a pause, she raised her head and looked at the flowers on the street. There was some envy in her eyes. "Flowers on the street, no, maybe I should call you Lu Qianqian. You were born to be the First Lady of the Prime Minister's office. You have been well-dressed since you were a child. Even if you were robbed of your identity, you are still the First Lady of the Prime Minister's office. The worst result is to marry Yan Beiqing and become Princess Yu. But I'm just a humble little beggar. Pitiful insects replace your identity. In his heart, I'm just a cheap chess piece. I don't deserve to be his princess." So from the beginning he didn't plan to marry me. The flower-faced Dew on the street is surprised and puzzled, and subconsciously asks, "Why do you still work so hard for him?" Lu Qianqian shook his head, forced himself to pull out a smile. Tears on his face but could not control the susu drop. "I just have extravagant thoughts. I love him, At this point, she was a little emotional, eyes full of pain. Mo Xianghua is silent, squats down, looks at Lu Qianqian, and her voice is a little cold. "I'm curious, what's your real name?" In the final analysis, the vanity and greed in her heart are all caused by Yan Moli. Without Yan Moli, perhaps she would not have been so extreme. "You don't hate me? Why is it so peaceful?" Now it's Lu Qianqian's turn to wonder. "Nature hates you." The answer of Mo Xianghua was unexpected. She thought Mo Xianghua would be soft-hearted because of pity. But she forgot what she had done to the flowers. Take her identity, make her become an unknown common girl, kill her mother, accuse her of innocence, force her to marry far away, and kill her many times, one by one. Should we let bygones be bygones because of her pity? If so, it would be ridiculous. Mo Xianghua looks at Lu Qianqian calmly, and her voice is also calm. "What you have done, you must pay the price. No matter how pitiful you are, it is not an excuse to do evil." Lu Qianqian completely stunned, and then pulled the corner of the lip, full of self-mockery. "Yes, I hope. Lu Qianqian, I'm sorry for you. If you want my life, just come. Anyway, I don't want to die in his hands. I'm not Lu Qian. The real Lu Qian has already died. You killed her." Mo Xianghua's eyes are a little cold. "In addition, you haven't answered my question." Lu Qian shook his head with a disheartened face. "My name, I don't remember it for a long time." Then she leaned against the wall behind her. "I don't know why. At the last moment, I began to want you to forgive me. Perhaps this is the death of a real man. And his words are good." Mo Xianghua suddenly stood up and her beautiful eyes were filled with indifference. "You should know the purpose of my coming. First, I didn't come to see your jokes, and second, I didn't come to forgive you. The real Lu Qianqian died in front of this woman's hands. Mo Xianghua thinks she is not qualified to forgive her for the dead Lu Qianqian." Lu Qianqian closed his eyes, relaxed against the wall, voice light. "Do it." Spend a long time on the street did not speak. After a long time, she took out a small porcelain vase from her sleeve, and threw it at Lu Qianqian's feet. The poison of Ci is colorless and tasteless, but it is extremely painful after taking it. There is no sign on the porcelain bottle. It can be seen that it was deliberately selected. After all, they don't want to leave a handle on themselves. With these words, she directly turned away, eyes no longer moved. She promised Lu Qianqian that she would take revenge for her. Even today's Lu Qianqian is how pitiful. She will never forget the death of Lu Qianqian is what kind of pain suffered before he died. Now that she has agreed, she should do so. In the dark and humid dungeon, Lu Qianqian sat with a dead face. At present, he was a small porcelain vase, holding a letter of divorce in his hand. For a long time, Lu Qianshu's sad smile. Then he sat up straight and tore the letter to pieces. Thank you very much, Mo Shanghua. Lu Qian's pale lips spit out a word, full of determination. Then he threw the fragments of the letter of divorce all over the floor, picked up the porcelain bottle in front of him, drank the poison, and his eyes gradually relaxed. A drop of tears slowly across. The original heart is still a trace of unwilling, also at the moment disappear. Maybe this ending is the best for her. At least, not in his hands. Your Highness, if there is an afterlife, rich or not, I don't want to meet you again. A burst of abdominal pain suddenly hit. She can no longer think about these. Pain fell on the ground rolling. The next day, Princess, I heard that the one in the prison had died suddenly. When she was found, her 7 orifices were bleeding. She described it as terrible. It seemed that she was very painful when she died. She had also been tested and died of poisoning. Early in the morning, Qinya sorts out the information and reports it to Mo Shanghua. When she said it, her face was very calm, and she didn't feel half surprised. She seemed to know it already. In fact, it's not surprising that Qinya can predict it. She is so clever that she may have guessed it for a long time. What did you do? Mo Shanghua was not surprised, only asked lightly. After he has been tested, he is still in prison. He should not be buried in a short time. Qinya's words and work are more and more calm, and she is more and more calm in the face of the questions raised by Mo Shanghua. I think even if there is a disposal, it's just a straw mat, rolled up and thrown in the mass grave. Qinya thought that the flowers on the street would be at least a little happy, but she never thought that on her beautiful face, her expression was as usual, as if just chatting with her. To Qinya's surprise, Mo Shanghua said, "Go to the 50 taels of silver in my box and buy her a thin coffin. I'm asking a Taoist priest to help her out." Qinya looked at the flowers on the street strangely. After a long time, she could not help saying, "Princess, what's wrong with you? You want to do this for that woman. Have you forgotten how she treated you?" Mo Shanghua nodded sincerely. There was no emotion change on her face. "Remember." Just 2 words made Qinya more and more surprised. She could not help sighing. "Princess, you are really not an ordinary person. You are so kind to your enemies. You are so generous. I really admire you." Looking at Qinya's face full of worship, Mo Shanghua said in silence, "The poison she ate was given by me." "Yes, Qinya." Qinya was stunned for a while, but she could not help muttering, "Princess, you can't be so kind. If you go on like this, you will make people feel that we are easy to bully, and you have to step on us all the time. At that time, how can we deal with ourselves?" Smell speech. Mo Shanghua Yu turned his head. "You misunderstood. That poison take pain is unusual. First abdominal pain unbearable, then dizzy, 2 ears deaf, limbs broken, finally blood died. She will only die more painful than you think." In this way, Qinya can be regarded as thoroughly understand the context of the matter. Looking at the flower on the street, it seems that it is just the expression of a dead mouse at home. Qinya swallows silently. "Princess, if one day the slave or her brother betrays you, what will happen?" When this question was just asked, Qinya's intestines were blue. "See." Mo Shanghua, originally calm incomparable eyes suddenly dyed a few cold. Even voice seems to be mixed with broken ice in general, cool toward Qinya. Ruddy lips, light and slow enunciation. "What do you think?" Qinyadan shivered and said, "Princess, I'm just asking. You've disturbed me. I know I'm wrong." Said busy and flattering, "Come to me to pinch shoulder flowers." The coldness in the flower eyes on the street just dissipated. It was rare to show a bit of relaxation on her face. She closed her eyes and enjoyed it. She was very tired these days. Qinya was really the most intimate. Qinyadan laughed at the dogleg incomparably. "Thank you for your praise. I will continue to work hard in the future and serve the princess well." Seeing Qinya's appearance, Mo Xianghua couldn't help pulling her lips and laughing. She relaxed completely. The atmosphere of the flowers on the street is harmonious. But on the court hall there is a surge of waves. What happened yesterday has already been heard by most of the officials in the court. Whether it is the party of King Ling or the ministers who support other princes, they all have different ideas. What's more surprising is that Yan Xinchuan, who had never been to court because of illness, didn't know what was going on today, and even went to court. What's more strange is that Yan Xinchuan, who is always weak after only a few steps, seems to faint at any time. Today's complexion looks very good, and there is a faint on his sick face. Even though many officials talked about it in private, some neutral officials, in particular, looked at each other for a moment, and then went forward to inquire about Yan Xinchuan's illness. At this time, before going to court, Yan Beiqing turned his eyes around the crowd, and even took the initiative to greet Yan Xinchuan. The 13th Emperor's younger brother has always been in bad health. He experienced such changes some time ago. Why did he come to the court today regardless of his illness? After a period of subtle change, now Yanbei City's image in front of people has gradually stabilized. Yan Xinchuan nodded politely, but his always gentle eyebrows and eyes let out a bit of alienation. Thank you for thinking about me. I've been well recently, so I shouldn't be lazy as before. What's more, don't you come to court every day? In this case, it is a bit of a sharp edge. The courtiers who were still watching could not help but move their minds, and their eyes were locked on them all the time. Yan Emoli saw this, and a touch of sarcasm came in at the bottom of his eyes. He said coolly, Brother Wu is more and more like a fish in water on the court hall now. It can be seen that he was deserted in the past. Now that the 13th Emperor's younger brother is here, he will shine brilliantly. If you don't understand in the future, you can come to our hall and ask. Inside and outside, he seems to be a considerate elder brother, and he feels like a leader. But never thought, always gentle as Yan Xinchuan. Tone unexpectedly analogy just to Yan Beiqing cold on 3 points. Thank you to Huangxiong. If we say that we just alienated Yan Beiqing, today's Yan Moli seems to be really hot-faced and cold buttocks. Even if Yan Beiqing didn't give face to smile, he said with a general meaning. The 2nd Emperor brother is so considerate, but it's not suitable for the 13 emperors. Yan Emoli, a handsome cheek suddenly black 3 points. Some shame and indignation hard to brush away. One side silently looking at several princes like quail birds. It is very happy to see the play. However, they also did not dare to talk with Yan Emoli Dua. When they saw that he had left, they all gathered around Yan Xinchuan and gave special greetings to the 13 Emperor's younger brother. For these brothers, Yan Xinchuan's attitude is a lot more moderate, very patient and polite one by one to respond, talking and laughing freely. A group of ministers looked at it silently, and many of them got together to flatter. For a time, Yan Emoli and Yan Beiqing were excluded. It's better to say that Yan Beiqing has hidden piles in the court hall, but it's not suitable to expose them now. In the eyes of outsiders, his foundation is very shallow and there is no one to support him. There are few courtiers around him on weekdays. But Yan Moli is like the stars holding the moon every day. Today, when Yan Xinchuan comes, things change completely. Naturally, how unhappy he is, how unhappy he is. Looking at Yan Xinchuan's ruddy face in the crowd, Yan Mo's eyes were gloomy. What's the matter with the emperor's younger brother, who has been in hospital for many years and has never been seen before? Why does the disease suddenly improve? Recently, he has been beset with all kinds of things. He has not had time to pay attention to the movement of Yan Xinchuan. Now he thinks about it carefully. First, he asks for permission to move out of the palace. Then he gets better and comes to court on his own initiative. Is it? Thinking of the possibility in his eyes, Yanemo suddenly scratched a sharp color in his eyes. No matter what the possibility is, he will never allow it. Anyone who threatens his throne has only one end: death. Please go to court with the sharp voice of the imperial eunuch. The bustling hall suddenly quieted down. Everyone stopped their greetings, arranged according to the size of the official positions, and walked slowly towards the Jinluan Hall. In the resplendent Jinluan Palace, hundreds of courtiers gathered in one dynasty, and arranged according to the size of the official positions in turn. Everyone who saw the grand scene could not help sighing. Emperor Baorong sat on the high dragon chair as usual. Lu Wang, who was beside him, came forward, waved the dust in his hand, and said in the voice of the old duck, "If you have something to play, you have nothing to retreat." Yan Sinshuan, who stands at the end of the list of princes, suddenly steps forward. A gentle voice suddenly rings in the quiet hall. "Tell my father, my son, I have to play." The officials on the whole court hall looked at Yan Sinshuan in surprise. Even Emperor Baorong was surprised. He was a little uncertain and leaned over to have a close look. He was sure that the man was really his 13th emperor who was weak and sick. Then he frowned and said, "Xianer, you are always in bad health. Why did you suddenly come to court today?" Yan Sinshuan lowered his head and covered his eyes with thick and slender eyelashes. "Back to my father. My son got the treatment of a famous folk doctor outside the palace, and often went out to walk around. His body is quite good, and now it's very good." On Baorong Emperor's face he said, this is good. If I had known that, I should have let you out of the palace for medical treatment. That famous doctor must have been rewarded." Looking at Baorong Emperor so happy, whether it is Yan Moli or Yan Beicheng, there is a strong sense of crisis in his heart. The rest of the court officials, who were originally neutral, were also in a turbulent mood. The other princes also had different ideas. "Thank you, father." Yan Sinshuan, however, was neither humble nor overbearing. He changed his old gentle temperament and continued with a serious face. "My father, my son, I'm going to play today. It's about a woman who pretended to be the daughter of the Prime Minister yesterday. I heard that my father has not yet decided on a thorough investigation of the officials. The children's minister boldly recommended himself. Willing to thoroughly investigate the matter, the hall was filled with shock. Yan Moli, in particular, was so surprised that Junyi's face was covered with a cloud. He immediately retorted, "Tell my father and emperor that this matter involves the present Princess Yu, who is regarded as my royal daughter-in-law. There is another case a year ago that needs to be carefully investigated. It's quite laborious to explore. The 13th emperor's younger brother has just recovered from a serious illness, and has never taken over such a thing. If you rashly hand it over to the 13th emperor's younger brother, I don't think it's right." Yan Mo and Li also came forward one after another to refute this matter. The rest of the princes were still as usual, quail-like, standing quietly on one side, not saying a word. Yan North City quietly stands in one side. The eye inside startle outside, have the idea of the other side also follow to come out. The reason why Yan Sinshuan did this, he first thought of the possibility, is because of the flowers on the street. Yan Sinshuan and Mo Shanghua's former origins, he has already ordered people to check clearly. Never involved in court disputes, Yan Sinshuan will suddenly involved. He can think of only this one reason. However, Yan Beicheng was not a fool. He was only dazzled by the jealousy in front of him. He first thought of this possibility, and then quickly analyzed the pros and cons. An idea in his mind took shape in an instant. Yan Beicheng stepped out and said in a loud voice, "My father, I think it's the most appropriate thing to send the 13 emperor's younger brothers to come forward." The more important reason for him to do this is that Baorong Emperor, sitting in a high position, seems to be just watching the fight among the officials as usual. In fact, when Yan Sinshuan comes forward to speak, his eyes are filled with surprise and joy. More importantly, he has a little appreciation. Emperor Baorong, who has been in the throne for many years, has already developed the disposition of saying one thing and saying the other. Once his inner thoughts are determined, it is difficult to change them. Baorong Emperor's appearance today is somewhat like, "My family has a son who has just grown up," and even more like a successor. I'm afraid that the important officials will quarrel with each other again, and the final result will be decided by Baorong Emperor. Sure enough, Baorongdi, who had just been careless, looked at the flowers on the street and said, "How do you say that?" Yan Beicheng lowered his eyebrows and narrowed his eyes. He was neither humble nor arrogant. He put away all his old slothful appearance. "I've told my father that the second emperor brother also said that this matter is very important, and I'm involved in it with the second emperor brother. If it's extremely inappropriate for both of us to explore, it's the person recommended by the two of us. If there's any accident in the future, I'm afraid it's hard for both of us to say. In this way, we should all stay out of the business and avoid suspicion from afar. A speech. Not only Yen Moli yesterday thought of the backroad cut off, is oneself also did not let go. Yen Moli's face turned black, and there was a word of suffering. Yen Beiqing's eyes on Yen Mo's knife fell on him as if he hadn't heard of it. He made a clear analysis. My son shouldn't have opened his mouth. It can be seen that this is the case, so I still have the courage to say something. My father just listens to it at will. After a pause he continued. After all, it's about the relatives of the emperor. Both Lu Xiang and her son's concubines are the relatives of the emperor. If they are all handled by the Ministry of Punishment, it will be very difficult for the Ministry of Punishment. Therefore, it's the best way to choose a person from the royal family to take the lead. Although the younger brother of the 13th emperor has just entered the court, he can see that he has a very clear grasp of this matter, and his speech is also very clear. His father can confidently give this matter to the younger brother of the 13th emperor, which is also a trial for the younger brother of the 13th emperor to enter the court. Yen Mo's eyes sank completely, and he looked at Yen Beiqing full of self-confidence with gloomy eyes. His sense of crisis rose as never before. One of Yen Moli's party members took a look at Yen Moli's face. He immediately came forward and retorted. To inform your majesty is just like what your highness said. But after all, the 13 princes are new to the court and are not familiar with everything in the court. They are afraid that they are very reluctant. So don't ask the third prince to come forward and thoroughly investigate the matter. The third prince was a waste. Yen Mo changed his mind, and his face improved a little. The third prince, who was named, was suddenly cold. He went forward to resign in a hurry and said, Tell my father that my son has always been dull and can't bear the responsibility. Please choose another candidate. I'm kidding. Yen Moli is a queen. He's the eldest son. He's the eldest son. He's the eldest son. He's the eldest son. He's the eldest son all by himself. In ordinary times, Emperor Baorong thinks highly of him. The third prince's qualification was very common, so he did not dare to compete at all. Even he didn't dare to shirk to Yen Xinchuan, for fear that he might be mistaken for Yen Xinchuan's party, and Yen Moli ascended the throne in the future, looking for revenge. What a waste! Yen Moli's face sank again. Before he could speak, Yen Beiqing grabbed in front of him and said, Father, in this way, the 13 emperor's younger brother is the most suitable person. Yen Moli is really unwilling. Eyes can't help but cast in the front row. Today's rare quiet Lu Bohan. Lu Bohan clearly felt his sight, but he just did not know the general, standing in the front row. Yen Moli had to put his eyes on the minister next to him. Seeing that some ministers wanted to argue and refute, Emperor Baorong waved his hand and said, I want to hear from the Prime Minister. If as usual, Lu Bohan would pretend to be neutral in the court, he would be slightly biased towards Yen Mo because of Lu Qianqian. Today Lu Bohan is unusual. He was named by Baorong Emperor, and the old god came forward. I'll tell your majesty that I have no objection. It's all at your command. It seems as if it is because of the confrontation with Yen Mo, but in fact it is the smartest way. Old fox. Yen Beiqing sighs secretly, and thinks about it in his heart. Fortunately, Lu Bohan and Yen Moli have to stop contacting each other. If not, it will be a very difficult existence in the future. Sure enough, Emperor Baorong nodded his head with satisfaction and said, Since the Prime Minister has no objection, the 13th Prince will take the lead and all the people of the Ministry of Punishment will be responsible for the investigation. In this way, the matter can be regarded as a complete decision, and there is no room for turning. As for Lu Qianqian's death, as early as in the morning, it spread to everyone's ears, did not stir up a wave. Even in the court mentioned above the qualifications are not. But it's not all useless. At least, Yen Moli was very relieved. The news from the court hall soon came to the ears of Mo Shenghua. It's not that she has any help in the palace. It's that Yan Beicheng ordered people to pass the news to her for the first time after he scattered the dynasty. If not, with Qinya's ability, we can't find out the news of the court hall in any case. As soon as Qinya was surprised by Yan Beicheng's seat in the court hall, he sighed. I can't imagine that His 13 Highness's health is so fast that he can go to court. Mo Xianghua took a sip of tea, and a complex color flashed in her eyes. Yan Xinchuan once loved the original owner so much. I think it must be for this reason that he went to court this time. He was indifferent and did not want to be involved in court disputes, but after today's incident, I'm afraid he was also involved. After all, the death of the original owner, in the final analysis, has nothing to do with Yan Mo Li Tua. Yan Xinchuan loves her so much, no wonder she is not crazy. Princess, you have such an enigmatic expression again. Qinya turned her head and sighed. The flower on the street has a long eyebrow and a slight pick. He smiles at Qinya on purpose. It's normal that you have such an IQ that you can't understand. Princess. Qinya couldn't help staring at the flowers in the street. Now the princess doesn't know who she learned from. She not only teases people, but also teases maidservants like this. Who did you learn from? Mo Shanghua's mind suddenly came up with a handsome face with a bright red birthmark and a face with a smile. Think of here, her ruddy lips suddenly hook, said with a smile. Nature is with your male master son. Qin Lin and Qinya have always only recognized the pursuit of Mo Shanghua. Naturally, this man should be her husband, Yan Beicheng. Qinya Gang's anger was swept away, and he came over with a bad smile all over his face. Princess, you are really happy now. You are in a good mood. Please tell me when you can have a little master to play with. For the first time in front of Qinya, the cold face of Mo Shanghua, which has remained unchanged for thousands of years, shows signs of cracking, and her white, tender and mellow earlobe climbs up into a dizzy state. If you're talking nonsense, I'll grab your collar and throw you out of here. Mo Shanghua is a little shy and angry. Seeing the appearance of Mo Shanghua, Qinya was not afraid. She continued with a smile. I'm not afraid. I've learned some kung fu now. If the princess doesn't tell me, I want to ask the princess to understand. But princess, I think our palace is really deserted now. You might as well consider my words. As soon as the words were finished, the flower on the street suddenly put out the teacup, raised her hand and stretched it out. She kneaded Qinya's cheek and threatened fiercely. You little bastard, if you think the palace is cold, I'll marry you out next year and let you have a good time. Mo Shanghua's strength is very good. It doesn't make Qinya feel pain, but also makes Qinya unable to escape. It's just a little uncomfortable. What's more pitiful is that Qinya can't even speak clearly. Wang Hui made Lu is wrong made Lu. Seeing that Qinya's originally round and lovely cheek has been pinched and changed, and the meat on her face is all piled up, the flower on the street can't help laughing and her strength is relaxed. Qinya quickly took the opportunity to escape, rubbed her cheek and complained, I'm wrong. You can see for yourself when you are in such a good mood. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and touched her cheek, but she couldn't help rubbing it twice. Well, it's similar to Qinya's feeling. Well, it's not like you. Qinya took back her smile and returned to her usual cold appearance. Is there any other news from the Lord? What's the matter with her now? Seeing this, Qinya's face is also busy to restrain her smile. The man over there says that she is now in prison. In order to prevent accidents, his people are secretly protecting her. After everything is checked out, she can go home. Mo Shanghua nodded slightly, thought about it, and then said, You can find a woman in the mansion in a few days and let them inquire about some good families. When Charming Jade comes out, you will arrange a good family to marry her. And then you will add a dowry to her. Qinya's eyes brightened and her face was full of approval. What the princess did is not a grievance to the Charming Jade girl. Just then, a maid came forward to report. Just a word, but let the flower's face a little cold. Qinya stood up angrily and said angrily, What qualification does he have to harass the princess? I'll send him away in person. I won't let him pollute your eyes. The person the maid told was the Prime Minister Lu. Qinya had a clear view of the situation above the hall that day. so she would not have a good look at Lu Bohan. Did not think. Mo Shanghua unexpectedly took the initiative to stop Qinya Light Wei. I want to see him. After a pause, he turned his eyes to the maid who came in and reported. Go and ask him to come in. Qinya, you don't have to go. Follow me to clean up the main hall. Yes. Seeing that the maid answered and went out, Qinya's face was full of indignation and incomprehension. Princess. The flower on the street glanced at Qinya, looked out of the window at a corner of the blue sky, and the tone was erratic. Some things always have to be done, Qinya, you will always know. It's so mysterious again. If I understand it, I won't wait for you to say a word. Qinya silently in the heart-fey abdomen too, or obediently closed his mouth. Frost hit eggplant general, wilting answer way. Yes, the maid served the princess to wash. In the main hall of the palace, Lu Bohan was quite uncomfortable sitting in the hall. There was no one else in the hall, except the 2 attendants he had brought with him and the 2 maids in the palace. But he didn't know why. After sitting for a while, he felt like he was on pins and needles. I thought that with the character of Mo Shanghua, I would hang him for a while. He would wait here for a long time. But I didn't think that Mo Shanghua didn't have the airs of a princess. I said I would go and wash it. It was only a short time before I came here in person. However, she did not give up her seat to Lu Bohan, the father, and directly entered the throne. The flower in the street glanced at Lu Bohan, who was still standing on one side. He said with a smile, Lu Xiang came to the palace specially to see the princess. Do you want to avenge your daughter? Lu Bohan's face was slightly green, but this time he didn't get angry and said, the princess joked that the woman was not my daughter. I should thank the princess for tearing it down earlier, so that I would not be hoodwinked. The flowers came in suddenly, and no one told. Before Lu Bohan had time to sit down, his words naturally came outstanding. After that, Lu Bohan felt that something was wrong. Mo Shanghua is sitting and standing by himself, and his reply is so formal, as if he is a junior. At the thought of this, Lu Bohan was a little displeased. He wrote down the flowers on the street, and found a place to sit down. Such a hypocritical appearance fell in the eyes of Mo Shanghua. She only felt that it was particularly ironic and interesting. Lu Xiang should stay in the court for these scenes and tell His Majesty. The implication, old man, just say what you have to say, don't go around. Sure enough, Mo Shanghua succeeded in seeing Lu Bohan's old face turn black again. She was a little happy. Lu Bohan has been an official for half of his life, and he has talked about this kind of scene for half of his life. Now that he is said by a stranger, he naturally can't help it. Wuxia embarrassed for a long time. Mo Shanghua didn't plan to answer the question at all, but he was very comfortable with the tea in his hand. It can't go on like this. Lu Bohan covered his lips and coughed softly, concealing his embarrassment. In fact, I'm here to ask Wang Fei to give me another blood. Oh, Lu Xiang, I have already broken off the relationship between father and daughter with you. Now that your daughter is gone, you come to me personally and want to recognize me. Are you not afraid of being criticized when you say it? Qinya also held her breath in her heart. Seeing this, she couldn't help saying, Princess, you don't know. This gossip will kill people. Good things do not go out. Bad things spread thousands of miles. If this matter spread out, I'm afraid hundreds of versions will be introduced within 100 miles. Maybe there will be written into a script. It must be wonderful. Mo Shanghua didn't scold him, but nodded his head with approval. My experience is wonderful. If it's true, it must be a bestseller. If it's true, remember to buy 2 books for me. Master and servant. You say a word, I say a word. Straight Lu Bohan, ashamed, almost can't lift his head. Wished to find a crack in the ground to drill in. After enduring it again and again, Lu Bohan could not resist the impulse of not getting up and brushing his sleeve. However, his tone could no longer maintain good. He was very stiff and said, I just want an answer, and I want to know where my daughter has gone. Well, I promise you. Unexpectedly, the flower suddenly gathered a smile, very simply agreed to come down. Lu Bohan, who is ready to continue to be humiliated by Mo Shanghua, is full of surprise. Mo Shanghua put down the teacup in his hand, and there was no expression on his beautiful face. My eyes are as quiet as the lake, and I can't see the mood of happiness and anger. Qin Yapo was a little indignant, and was shocked by a look from a stranger. Lu Bohan's complexion is complex and stares at the flowers on the street. After a long time, he turns his head and looks at the little guy behind him. The boy opened the food box he had been carrying, took out a bowl of water from it, and held it in both hands. I brought a bowl of water with me. It's just how distrustful it is. The flower on the street looks slightly cold, and the radiance of the corner of her lips is particularly ironic. Lu Xiang really knows how to make a careful calculation. It's just a bowl of water, but she has to bring it with her. Without saying a word, Lu Bohan went up to pick up the same silver needle, pierced his fingertips, squeezed out blood, and fell into the bowl. Emo Shanghua stood up and did not take the silver needle Lu Bohan had used. She took a silver needle from her sleeve and punctured her index finger to get blood. 2 drops of scarlet blood fell into the bowl, as if there was some special gravity, and soon blended together. The flowers on the street are calm, and there are no emotional ups and downs. It was neither joyful nor shocked. Even a trace of the past grievances where vindicated grievances are not. It is Lu Bohan's old face. After seeing the blood in the bowl, the changes on his face can be called wonderful. First it was slightly shocked, then it sank a bit, and then it was full of complexity that could not be described. For a long time he sighed deeply, covered his forehead with one hand, and felt a little guilty. Qianqian, I'm sorry for you. I'm no longer Lu Qianqian. The flower in the street interrupts Lu Bohan's words in a cold voice, and his eyebrows and eyes are alienated. From the moment when my own father sent people to assassinate me many times, from the moment when my father knew the result well, he was still indifferent to me. After a pause, the last trace of coldness in her voice returned to nothingness, completely without a trace of emotion, as if facing a stranger. From the moment you gave the name to someone else, the real Lu Qianqian has already died of hatred. Lu Bohan has been silent for a long time. After preparing for a long time, he can't say a word at this moment. Emo Shanghua turned to take a seat again, and gracefully picked up the teacup. Lu Xiang wants to know the result, please. Seeing this, Qinya stepped forward and asked, Lord Lu, please. A little fellow behind Lu Xiang felt that he couldn't see it, so he went forward and yelled as usual. You girl, how dare you be rude to our adults, you? Shut up, Lu Bohan interrupted coldly before he finished his words. At this time, Lu Bohan seems to be a different person. When he looks at the flowers in the street, he doesn't glare at him as usual, but he has a few different twists of guilt. Princess Yu, I know you blame me in your heart, but my father used to be fooled into doing such a stupid thing. Now it's clear that the thief has already committed the crime, and you are still my good daughter. I will certainly double compensate you in the future, so don't be angry with him. Emo Shanghua seems to have heard a big joke. She smiles like a peach blossom, but she has a smile at the bottom of her eyes. Mr. Lu Xiang, how can I let you talk to me in such a low voice? Qinya was disgusted with Lu Bohan's face, and said with a smile, I can't understand you either. Which one is Lu Xiang singing? Lu Bohan's old face suddenly turned black, and his anger could not be controlled. Princess Yu, the matter has been clearly investigated. What's the reason that you don't recognize your ancestors, and insult your own father here? Yan Beiqing's smile faded, and he looked coldly at Lu Bohan. What's the reason? Lu Xiang thought that the things you had done could be eased by your 2 soft words? How can I sit here now if I'm not lucky in all that day? Lu Bohan was slightly stunned, and his anger froze at this moment. You. It's not just these words that can resolve the anger of Emo Shanghua. At the moment, she is not responsible for herself, but for the dead owner to question the person who should have been her own father. The words of flowers on the street were fierce and cold, and they poked into Lu Bohan's face. Even if you were hoodwinked by the traitors, you didn't care about my father-daughter relationship for more than 10 years. Every action is to kill me. How can you have such a cruel father in the world? Lu Bohan, since you are here today, I will make it clear to you. No matter now or in the future, I will never forgive you. You should not be related by blood, and father and daughter should love each other. I'll never recognize you. Such a remark made Lu Bohan lose face completely. But these accusations were all facts. He was ashamed in his heart and could not refute them. For a time, I was ashamed and annoyed, and I was ashamed. Good. Lu Bohan's face flushed with anger, and his body trembled. After 3 good words he left. But from the beginning to the end he did not dare to look directly into the eyes of the flower. In the distance he could still hear the voice of scolding the servant for his shame. Hearing this, Qinya felt more relaxed and admired the flowers on the street. Princess, you've just been so powerful. Let him be the prime minister of the dynasty. It's not that he's ashamed and shameless. Mo Shanghua's lips were coldly pulled up, and his eyes were full of sarcasm. He didn't feel ashamed because he was embarrassed. It was just because I stepped on his face under my feet. A prime minister of his hall was scolded by my younger generation. Without his face he was ashamed and indignant. That's what happened. After a pause she added, not a single word of what he said today is credible. Qinya's smiling face suddenly drooped and filled with indignation. I didn't expect that the prime minister was so shameless. Such a deceptive thing can be done. Mo Shanghua gently put the teacup on the table and said, power is charming. Many things are not as simple as you think. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.